Let your experience begin right now. From high atop the mountains of British Columbia to you listening around the world, this is Spaced Out Radio. You can follow us on our website, spacedoutradio.com, on Twitter, @SpacedOutRadio. Give our Facebook page a like, Spaced Out Radio Show. You can follow us on Instagram, Dave Scott, SOR, or on our YouTube channel, Spaced Out Radio Show. Buckle up, space travelers. It's time to go for a ride as we are live on Spaced Out Radio.
Ignition sequence start. 6, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1.
The deeper I go, the deeper I fall.
Good evening and welcome to Spaced Out Radio tonight. I am your host, Dave Scott. Thank you so much as we are tuning in 1 hour earlier tonight on the mighty SOR. This is a special moment because when I started this show back on November 30th, 2014, I capped it at 2 hours. I wanted to get the information out there. We built up the show, except one of the things that has always been a constant complaint about Spaced Out Radio is the fact that we were only 2 hours. When we moved over to Spreaker, we had the ability to go a little bit longer, so that's what we decided to do. I talked to some good friends, had a meeting with a bunch of our listeners, mainly those in Paranormal Into the Night and Paranormal Forum, and basically what they said was, Dave, you got to figure out a way to get this show to 3 hours. We want 3 hours. And it took some prodding, I'm not going to lie. It took some prodding because, in the end, I have a family, I have a daytime job and a career that I love. This is my moonlighting. And to take an extra hour away from my family was a very tough choice for me because I only see them about 2 hours a day. That's it. If Mrs. Spaced Out Radio wasn't so darn supportive, I probably wouldn't be doing it this often. But we had to figure out a way to get this show to 3 hours. And I was talking to a couple of good friends who came up with the idea, both Dino and Bill came up with the idea, of maybe getting another host, trying to bring this to 3 hours. So I literally scoured the universe. Scoured. And when I would go away on my weekend Zen cheese sightings, I figured, who could I bring in to you, the audience, who could help me for that first hour? Do a little bit of a news type program. What's going on out there today? And we're going to get more into that. So, I found her. The Groovie Bean.
I have a feeling we're not in Kansas anymore.
Remain seated, please. Permanecer sentados, por favor.
Three hours of action on Spaced Out Radio comes at you starting now. Spaced Out Radio presents Groovie Bean's Nightly Cup of Joe with Yvonne Palermo. You can follow Yvonne on Twitter at Groovie Bean, as well as at Spaced Out Radio. Give Spaced Out Radio page a like on Facebook, Spaced Out Radio Show on YouTube, and our website is spacedoutradio.com.
It's a completely different kind of coffee, flooding the pot with that wonderful, good to the last drop flavor.
Now, to warm you up for Spaced Out Radio, here's the toasty and always brewed just right, Groovie Bean, Yvonne Palermo.
I crossed all the lines we had drawn, cut off the ties we had formed, told all the lies to myself, while sleepwalking through it all.
And with that, Space Out Radio listeners, and you guys are awesome out there, I wish to welcome the Groovie Bean and her nightly cup of Joe, Yvonne Palermo, to Spaced Out Radio. Yvonne, thank you so much for joining the team. How are you?
Hey, Dave. Oh, hello. Thank you for having me. I'm fantastic.
Well, you know what? I'm very excited, and normally I'm not going to be here during this time because I got to be preparing for Spaced Out Radio, but on behalf of all our listeners and myself and the Spaced Out Radio team of Mrs. Spaced Out Radio, Elizabeth Anglin, Corey Greaves, and James Tyson from Spaced Out Weekend, I want to welcome you as the newest member to Spaced Out Radio. It's great to have you along for the ride, and, you know, I'm very glad that it didn't take a lot of convincing to get you on. So what we're going to be doing tonight, our fellow listeners, is I'm going to be introducing you to Yvonne, so that way you guys can get a little bit comfortable with her, and we're going to go right until 10 o'clock when we are going to kick off Spaced Out Radio. You'll hear the theme song again, so if you all of a sudden hear my theme song again from the guitar god, Ron Bumblefoot Thal, it's not because the show is repeating, it's because this is two shows we're combining into one. Yvonne, welcome.
Thank you. So honored to be a part of the team. Looking very much forward to this.
Well,
bring on the questions.
Exactly. So one of the things that I wanted to do tonight was to take the time, because let's face it, you're a little nervous going into this tonight. We've been talking about this for a while. You're finally making your debut, and I think we need to go and let the audience get to know you a little bit better, so that way they can help form the bond, because this is going to be a learning experience not only for them, but for myself and for you as well, as we have maxed out Spaced Out Radio at 3 hours a night now. So, are you nervous?
Absolutely.
Good.
But in the best of ways, because again, this is just a fantabulous venue. So thank you for having me.
Well, you know what? And it's funny because you and I only met about 2 months ago. And that was on social media. And we just started chatting. And a couple of people who we wanted to try and bring on, they just couldn't make the time. And I was talking to Mrs. Spaced Out Radio about it. And she's like, you know what? You should probably look for a female voice. Because in this field, there's not too many, in my opinion, and I'm not trying to sound cocky here, but there's, in my opinion, not too many female voices on the air that are strong, that are candid, that are frank, ask good questions. So I checked you out.
Ooh.
And I liked what I heard. And I figured, since, I paid $25,000 in college for this radio voice, and unfortunately I still got the face for radio.
Absolutely.
Thanks.
Or as Bill Cardwell would say out there, Paranormal into the night. All right, all right, all right. I see that, Bill.
Exactly. So the main thing is I wanted to take the time tonight for all of you to get to know the Groovie Bean and her nightly cup of joe, Yvonne Palermo. She likes the R in Palermo rolled on the tongue. Yvonne, tell us a little bit about you.
Well, let me tell you. Well, I am one Groovie Bean, and I do get the question, what is a Groovie Bean? And I have to say, we're all Groovie Beans. We're seeds, folks. We are seeds here to feed the planet. We got to wake up the sheep that are asleep. So that's where my Groovie Bean comes from. So you and I are both beans, as are all the listeners, mind you, Dave Scott. Yes. Now, back in 2011, I was in a traumatic experience. I received a traumatic brain injury, and that is what led me onto my path of awakening. Did you know that, Dave?
I did not know that until you and I talked last night, because you and I had an enlightened conversation, even though we've been talking for a couple of months. And we were trying to figure everything out in how we were going to approach this third hour of the show. You finally said, you know what? I know nothing about your experiences, Dave. What brought you here? And I told you. And then you told me your experiences, and it was like there was real gelling there because they almost happened at the same time.
Right. And what an incredible, I was so honored for you to share your story with me. And in my, everybody listening out there, through my traumatic experience, I have to say it was a gift, because I have gone through, I'm still healing, but I've gone through this process of being this new, I guess you would say in a way, updated, better version of me. How about that? Does that work? It works. I dig it.
Well, I don't know. None of us really knew you before.
All right. Well, let me tell you, before my traumatic brain injury, TBI, so I don't have to drag out those words, I was quite the vain person, very status, very much the sheep. I was a sheep, everybody. And after I was rear-ended by a drunk driver, I found, I don't remember too much, but I ended up in brain injury rehab. So I had to relearn how to walk and talk and chew food and swallow. But prior to getting into the brain injury rehab, I had an experience in what I call the void, which to me was one of the most serene experiences that I think I will ever experience. I don't know if you're familiar with the void. Are you, Dave?
I am not. That is something I have not experienced yet. Okay.
So some people would call it a near-death experience. Some people, your heart doesn't necessarily have to stop for this experience. When my head, my skull, hit a piece of metal, right at that moment of impact, I felt my brain shattered into a gabillion pieces. At the same time, if you could visually think of when you're watching TV and you see a black hole, and they show you the vortex of being sucked into the abyss. So imagine all those gabillion pieces, not just of your brain, but of your soul, your light being, gets sucked right through. And I found my essence, my soul, my light being in a 360-degree view of space. That's where I was.
Weird. How did that feel on your body, on your mind, and more so on your soul?
I guess you would call that maybe disassociating with the body, but that there was this weird kind of suction-y kind of definitely a moment of the light being. That's the true me for all light beings, little groovy beans. And that moment of leaving the body, it was really fast. However, there's the moment of traveling from your body to space. There's sound, but no sound. There's touch, but no touch. All your senses are there, but they're not there. It's a very strange, but wonderful place to be. So when I'm up in space and I'm just not this three-dimensional body at all, okay? So, you hear of people with everybody's near-death experience and or experience of going to the void or seeing the white light at the end of the tunnel. Everyone I feel is individual. So my experience up in, here I am in space, and I felt the universe and the stars and the planets were just this warm blanket of creation, of oneness. It felt right. I felt one with the Creator. Have you ever felt that, Dave?
I did. I am someone who has, as I've mentioned many a times on this show, I suffer from depression and anxiety.
Okay.
And I make it very well known that I do because, believe it or not, I'm not looking for sympathy. I'm not looking for someone to pat me on the back and say, "Oh, poor Davey." No, I do it because I find that it helps me heal when I talk about it. And when I was about 25 years old, I remember I was driving down a dark highway on Vancouver Island where I lived, and I was a new dad. My daughter was probably at that time maybe 6 months old, and I had an absolute panic attack because one of the biggest anxious moments I have in my life is when I think about death. Mm-hmm. And it's not so bad anymore, but I remember driving literally, now this is in kilometers, about 140 kilometers down the highway. That's about 95 miles an hour. I'm the only one on the highway. There's no cars coming towards me. There's none behind me. Mm-hmm. And I just started bawling my eyes out, screaming at God, "Why would you create us to die? Mm. I don't understand." And I was having this argument with God. And all of a sudden, I felt this giant hand come out of my back seat and rest itself right on my right shoulder. Mm. And I heard the words, "Don't worry, everything's going to be okay." And then I looked straight ahead, and there was the biggest buck deer standing in the middle of the highway. Mm. And when I saw this, I was probably 300-400 yards away, so I started to slow down. I'm on the highway. I came to a complete stop, probably 100 feet from this deer, and I still felt the hand on my shoulder, and the deer is standing still. I'm sitting still in my car now, and I just breathed deeply in and out, caught my composure, and it was like as soon as I caught my composure, that deer walked away up the hill and disappeared. And it was a very enlightening moment for me because I was literally scared, and I probably would have cracked open that deer and probably destroyed my little sports car at the time. So that's probably the closest moment I've had to that.
Absolutely.
But this isn't about me. This is about learning who you are, Crazy Ivan. Because that's my nickname for her, Crazy Ivan. You can type that all over the social media. That's just it works for me. But as you had your injury, what started you on the path of enlightenment and opening up and realizing that what you were seeing wasn't really what you were seeing?
I would have to say, so once I left the void, back down into this three-dimensional body, which, mind you, folks, I did not want to come back because, again, it was the most serene experience ever. And so I find myself back into this three-dimensional body. The time between the accident and becoming alert to my surroundings, I cannot give you a time on, because when you get a TBI, again, everyone is individual. What you experience is different, and how you react to the realm around you is per person. So I started putting my hand through my skull. I could put my hand through matter, and I could tactily feel my brain. I could touch my pineal gland. I could see when I say auras, I see, it's more like if you blow a bubble. Do you know when you blow bubbles? And let's say you have a bubble, another bubble within a bubble, and you keep stacking the bubbles till there's 5 of those kinds of layers.
Right.
That is what I see around people, around the earth. Although with the earth, I will see colors and auras. I see sacred geometry. I actually see the air. So here I'm in the hospital, at home with home therapy. I'm seeing this stuff, and I'm digging it. And then, but you don't, for all of those that are listening with the medical, our medical hospitals, if you tell a nurse or someone, hey, I see layers around you that are doing, shifts and dances, it's not really something you want to tell people, especially in the hospital, because they put you on a lot of medications. Mm-hmm. So, right. So through this process, it was as well as having a TBI, you're actually advocating for yourself at the same time. Oddly enough, I'm not sure how I did that, but I did. And man, what incredible, it's been just an incredible experience. And it took me from 2011, Dave, and listeners out there, which thank you for tuning in. It took me till about June, July, August of last summer to shed these, what I call brain fog layers, maybe, or layers of waking up, coming completely into this third dimensional body.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. So when you started seeing all the colors, lights, auras, seeing air, how did you transform that you were sane rather than someone who is, say, having a mental breakdown?
I did, because I didn't feel any fear. I don't feel any fear. I feel and I felt at the time at home with what I was seeing. And so with that, I just, there was no fear. So why would I say, hey, excuse me, can you fix this? It made my life enjoyable.
We are talking with the Groovie Bean, Yvonne Palermo, here on Spaced Out Radio. She is going to be the new first-hour host on SOR on a nightly basis, Monday through Friday, where I come on at 10 o'clock, give the hardcore interview on the subject of the night. What she will be discussing during the show is the news of the day, the topics of the day. What is eating you up? She will be taking your questions from the Spaced Out Radio chat room, as well as Paranormal Into the Night and Paranormal Forum. She will be discussing everything that is going on. She will be warming us up, getting you all ready for the 3-hour broadcast here nightly now on Spaced Out Radio. On the weekends, James Tyson's Spaced Out Weekend will be going to 3 hours as well. And what happens there is he will be joined by Elizabeth Anglin, the Cosmic Passport. And she will be hosting the first hour on that show as well. This is a way that we are able to provide more programming for you, because I know a lot of our East Coast listeners were saying, Dave, you have to start an hour earlier. And this is what we're going to try out. I think we have a winning formula here. And Yvonne, with her experience and her own sightings and everything that she has gone through, she has turned herself into quite the little journalist. And I'm excited to have her aboard. And this is going to be a little bit different for you, isn't it, Yvonne?
Yes, it is. I'm not used to just the news. But I can do this, and I'm more than happy to be here, so thank you.
What do you want the audience to know about you and your broadcasting style? We got about 60 seconds before we're going to go to break here.
I would say I'm pretty funky, if you can't tell that already, and I do use some unique words as amazeballs. That's for Dino out there. And here's a new one for you, nutty gazzetti. I like to be a nutty gazzetti, Dave Scott. How about you?
I don't know what the hell that is. It sounds like a Baskin-Robbins 31 flavors that turns to 32. That's what we're going to leave it at. But the main thing is you're going to have a lot of fun. I want the audience to be able to get to know you, interact with you, because you're all over social media and you are very on top of what is going on. So when we come back from the break, we're going to see what your interests are, what really gets your goat, and what you enjoy about these fields, whether it's paranormal, whether it's ufological, whether it's the conspiracy side. We're going to learn more about you. All right?
Okay. Thank you.
Not a problem. You're listening to the first edition of the 3-hour show of Spaced Out Radio. I am your host, Dave Scott. We'll be back after this break.
Have you ever had an extraterrestrial experience? One you just couldn't explain? Well, maybe I can help. Hello. I am Samantha Mullet. On the second Tuesday of each month, I will join Dave Scott on Spaced Out Radio to bring a human aspect to ET contact. It's something I've lived with my entire life, and I'd love to help you understand. Let's share our experiences. The ET Experience, the second Tuesday of each month, only on Spaced Out Radio.
Fairies? Bigfoot? Dogmen? Trolls? Goblins? Hey, if it's cryptid in any way, I'm looking into it. Hi there, this is author Ronald Murphy, also known as Spaced Out Radio's Crypto Guru. Join me every second Wednesday of the month on Spaced Out Radio with Dave Scott, where we will talk about the stories people call tall tales. I will fill you in on the latest sightings and the hidden histories that are causing quite a stir. You can find everything at spacedoutradio.com.
Hi there, this is Jolene with Rivulet Reiki and Readings, and I want you to relax. Let me help you chill out and get in touch with your body, mind, and soul. In this busy world, sometimes we need to let go, and this is where I can help. Visit my website, rivuletrndr.wix.com/rivuletrndr, or my Facebook page, Rivulet R&R, to set up an appointment for relaxation, Reiki, or readings, no matter where you are. It's time for you to make time for you.
Looking for a place to get your product to the public? Advertise with us at Spaced Out Radio. At spacedoutradio.com, you can check out our pricing and packages that best suit your budgetary needs. Whether you're a budgeted author or a company looking to expand, our listeners support the products that support spacedoutradio.com. Advertising with us is an effective way to get your message out. Contact us at info@spacedoutradio.com and get your ads out today.
Are you an ET experiencer, but you just don't know what's going on? Are you too timid or shy to discuss it with anyone? Maybe I can help. Join me, R. Keith Andrews, the first Friday of every month on Spaced Out Radio, and I will help you to find the answers you're looking for. Together, I will help you understand the off-worlders and the true meanings behind your experiences. All you have to do is join us in the Spaced Out Radio chat room. See you there.
Every Saturday and Sunday night, as Dave Scott wanders aimlessly in the wilderness, you can come hang out with me, James Tyson, in Spaced Out Weekend. Starting at 9 p.m. Pacific, midnight Eastern, I'll take you along as we talk with some of the best experts in their fields. SpacedOutRadio.com is the place to find us. So sit down, relax, put your feet up. Enjoy the topics like the paranormal, supernatural, intuitiveness, and so much more. Hope to see you there.
Hi there, this is your psychic medium Joanna, and I would love it if you would join us every other Sunday on Spaced Out Weekend. With host James Tyson, we'll bring you personal psychic messages on two mediums and a large. Questions about love, life, career changes. We would love it if you would come and join us live. Call in and listen in for the experience. Allow us to open the doors to your other side. Two mediums and a large, heard only on Spaced Out Weekend at spacedoutradio.com.
Would you like to become one of our space travelers? All you have to do is click on the Space Travelers icon at spacedoutradio.com. For only $5 a month, you can get access to some great prizes, as well as private monthly shows, newsletters, and a members-only section on our website. Become a space traveler today.
Do you have a topic or a guest that you'd like to hear on Spaced Out Radio? Let us know at spacedoutradio.com, where you can sign up to become a Space Traveler member today. Or you can find us on Twitter at Spaced Out Radio and on our Facebook page, Spaced Out Radio Show.
I don't want to take a thing from you. I just want to feel like something real with you. I just want to fly high.
Welcome back to Spaced Out Radio tonight. I am your host, Dave Scott, introducing the Groovie Bean and the Nightly Cup of Joe, Yvonne Palermo, who will be hosting the first hour of Spaced Out Radio starting tomorrow night. The reason why I'm on the air right now early is because I'm introducing her. I want you guys to get comfortable with her. Give her a couple of weeks. Make sure that she has time to work out the nerves, because it's a hard job coming in here and filling in an extra void. So just ask you guys for your guidance and your patience in regards to everything. Yvonne, thank you so much for being with me tonight.
Absolutely. Thank you for having me. And, you know, I am just blown away by the live chat going on here. The support you have is overwhelmingly wonderful, fuzzy wuzzy blanket. So thank you, folks. I do appreciate that.
You know what? We have been very fortunate, even during our days over on the previous server, that we have had very, very smart, intelligent listeners. And when we added Paranormal Forum and Paranormal Into the Night, when they found our show and started following us, you know, the biggest complaint we heard was the sound, which is why we moved over to Spreaker. And we wanted to change things up. But the next issue that we had was the 3 hours. Everybody wanted us to go to 3 hours. And when the audience is saying that, you have to listen to what they are saying. And what brings you in here is we need to work as a tandem to get this thing going, to make sure that everything is running smoothly and running fair. So what do you plan on Space Out Radio?
Absolutely. Thanks for asking. I'm hoping to bring the listeners, you know, I'm going to be in tune with Dave Scott's guest for the evening. I'm hoping to bring you some paranormal stories, maybe some horror stories even. But I also am I feel very adamant about becoming conscious of your thoughts and making a difference and discussing. I like alien stuff. I do. I like disclosure very much. I love, if you want to know a little more about me, one of the first things I started researching was the Sphere Being Alliance and the SSP and all those kinds of people that go along with that. But I don't want to bring in the heaviness of it, but I do want to talk about making folks more aware to how we can make our universe and being here happy, light, and there's also goodness. Paranormal, there's good paranormal stories as well. How about that?
Well, we kind of, you kind of cut,
I think it
cut
did
out
too.
there a little bit.
Are we back? Breaker one.
Yeah, we're back. We are back.
Did I?
Yeah, the one thing that I want everyone to know is Yvonne's going to have her own style. Okay, I am more of the journalist type. Yvonne's going to have a little bit more of her own style, so that way it's going to be informative, but it's going to be a little bit laid back to ease you guys into what we are doing with the nightly program starting at 10 o'clock. And it's very, very interesting how this is going to work. And when you talk about your own experiences, Yvonne, it's led you to create some incredible art. It's led you to have some incredible experiences. What led you, when you got to this point, to start putting what was going on in your mind and what you were seeing onto a canvas? Because you have created some incredible art, which I'm hoping when we get the Spaced Out Radio store going that you're going to be putting some pieces up there for us to have in our store, which will be available to our audience.
Ooh, absolutely. Thank you for asking. It's a very interesting and wonderful question. I want the folks to know that the old Yvonne, when I say that, that's before my TBI. I was an artist, but if you were to take my old art and my new artwork, you could not even tell it was the same person. I have completely changed since my TBI. And a lot of people say that I'm walking. I don't want to give it a name. I'm driving because I'll tell you, that's what I'm doing. I'm driving with a force of consciousness here. And what I did was I found myself in August. I went out. I bought this pad of paper, just huge, 3 foot by 4 foot about, and a pencil. Never have I worked in pencil before. And I just was driven to do it. Brought it home. Walked up, opened up the pad of paper, got the pencil out, and you know what, Dave Scott and listeners? It wasn't creating, I was transcribing. And I feel that I'm transcribing what I see, where I've been, and also through astral travel. So in August, it's amazing. I just walk up to the paper and I was asked recently if I felt like if I go into a trance. That's a valid question. I'm kind of curious myself because I do them and I just finish them in a quick rate of time. So the images, for those of you, they're very much rebirth. They're very much, there's DNA. There's a lot of vibrational sigils in the artwork itself. I feel like that there is a message in the artwork. In fact, maybe some listeners, maybe you'll look at it and go, hey, I know what this says, right? Because we're all learning, and when you are experiencing the gift of being a light being in space and seeing this and coming back down in that transition of coming back into your body, I think there's a loss in maybe verbal language, right? So I'm transcribing it. So maybe somebody out there is also astral traveling or has had this experience or have seen the same thing. Let me know. I want to know.
And I think that's important to also let the people know that one of the things that brought me more towards you was the fact that you're an experiencer as well. I'm an experiencer with paranormal. I'm an experiencer with the Angel of Death, with Bigfoot, with UFOs, with extraterrestrials. You come at it at a different angle. But the fact is, whether it's your angle and what your experiences are or what my is the fact that there is credibility when it comes to the experience of what you have, because everybody's experience is individual. And one of the things for you new listeners who are tuning in that we do on this show is we believe everybody. It is our motto. Now, people may say that's a little bit politically correct to say. People may say, well, you're not taking a side. But the truth of the matter is, I have never stepped in your shoes. I've never stepped in Yvonne's shoes. She's never stepped in mine. So who am I, as a journalist, to say, Yvonne, your experiences are far out there, I don't believe you, or Joe Smith, who's listening on the radio, you know, what is your opinion?
Sorry about
you know what I'm saying?
Mm-hmm.
It all adds up. And when we all come to the fact that we're all experiencers, even though we may be experiencing different genres and different events, the main thing is we want Spaced Out Radio to be a place where everybody can congregate and come together and say, you know what, even though Dave's experience or Yvonne's experience or James's experiences may be different from what I had, at least this is a place where I'm not going to be ridiculed, I'm not going to be put down, I'm not going to be filled with emotion or treated wrong or feel badly because my experience is different. I have heard of other shows, and you've been on other shows, where those opinions, if they don't match the host, people are ridiculed. And we don't want that here.
Right. As long and I have to say, as long as everyone is being safe and secure to one another, absolutely. Love, right.
I have a question for you from Lynn in Paranormal Forum. Their website, if you want to sign up for free, is paranormalforum.net. And Lynn is asking, Yvonne, what is your opinion on God after your experience?
Oh, wonderful question, Lynn, and thank you for asking, and thank you for tuning in. God. Well, I am not afraid of death. I believe that I am a witness to the Creator, if you want to, whether that's God or Buddha or whomever, whatever you want to give that label to. I feel that I witnessed the Creator in a 360-degree view, experiencing it as a light being, understanding that I left my three-dimensional body behind and the earth 100% with all of my three-dimensionalness and my light being inside. I know that we are divine, we are special, and we need to spread the love. That's what we need to do. But yes, I know that there is a Creator. I hope that answers your question, Lynn.
She says, wow, love this answer. So, yes, I'm assuming it did. I just got some good news from Corinne DeWinter from purpleplates.com. And she is in the Spaced Out Radio chat room tonight.
Oh.
And she has said, Dave, let's give away a purple plate tonight.
Ooh.
So what we are going to do is we're going to give away a purple plate courtesy of Corinne DeWinter and purpleplates.com, one of our show's main sponsors. And I have a little purple plate. I keep it beside my bed. And I can honestly say that it is very, very comfortable. It helps me sleep. When I'm having my anxiety or depressive attacks, like I did yesterday, I try and keep it close by to help calm me down. And so I'm going to open this up. If you're in the Spaced Out Radio chat room, if you are in the Paranormal Into the Night or the paranormalforum.net, we are going to give away a free purple plate tonight, courtesy of Corinne DeWinter from purpleplates.com. And you can check out her website. She's got an incredible store there. I spent a ton of money there on my family over Christmas. It is a great little store. And she has, Corinne has been one of our biggest listeners since almost the beginning of this show. And we're going to give away one of those plates tonight. I'll figure out something here in the next little bit on how we're going to do that. And thank you so much, Corrine. We really do appreciate it that you are taking the time out to help us out like that. It's really, really cool for you to do that. So
spreading the love.
Absolutely. Now, Yvonne.
Yes. Dave Scott.
When you first learned of Spaced Out Radio, and I'm not doing this to pat our back here, but tell the audience what won you over on why you wanted to join us.
What won me over? I would have to say, Dave, I was observing you and how hard you were working. And honestly, you know what I really love is that you're bringing on everybody. Every person that has a story, not just the big names, but everyone. Just like everyone here in the chat, we all have our stories, and I honor that. I have much respect because everyone that is here in the chat, everybody that's tuning in, we're all here for the same reason. We know that there's something more. We are not sheep. We are not asleep, and that was what I loved about you, was you're bringing on names that I would not have normally known about. So I definitely honor that in many ways, because I think it's important for us, like you said earlier, to not be judgmental and to respect one another and to really learn. I think it's very important to learn how to listen. And by sitting and listening for 2 hours, what a wonderful gift for you to give, and what a wonderful experience for all the listeners to have new names with new stories and to kind of piece together this wonderful quilt that we're stitching together, because that's what we're doing with our energy. We're stitching together to make us all one. So we stand as one. That's what I love.
Well, thank you for that, and that's what we try and do. And, we work hard, and, the one thing that we ask our audience out there is tell a friend. And people have been talking. I see the posts. I see what people are doing and spreading the show and spreading the love and the magic that is happening with this show. And on this end, it is heartfelt appreciative. One thing that I think is very interesting is the fact that when you come on, you are going to bring on a little bit of a diverse show for the first hour. You're going to bring on some paranormal news. And when I say paranormal, it's kind of news from around the world. And then in the second half hour, I'm going to join you, and we're going to have a little bit of fun banter on some topics. I'm looking forward to going head-to-head with you on some of these.
It's going to be a nutty gazetty time, Dave Scott. That is how you use that word.
Oh, still sounds like ice cream to me.
No, it's going to be fantastic. I am so looking forward to it. And I hope to bring you all, topics that really also not just the story you want to pass around the campfire, but also the stories that are going to make you go, right? It's going to make you maybe want to research it a little more. That's what I want to do. Little jolt. That's the cup of bean.
I hope the audience liked your intro as well, because that one took me a while. And I have to admit, that's the second version of it. What happened was, about a week and a half ago, when my computer went down a couple of weeks ago, we were working on getting all the audio that was on my broken computer into the new setup that we have. So I feel kind of professional now, because I actually have 2 laptops and 3 screens going here. And I put all the audio, or Mrs. Spaced Out Radio did, because she's the computer whiz of the family. And what happened was, put it all on a USB stick, and the USB stick decided to erase itself. And I don't know if there was a power surge or whatever, but it erased itself. So I had to create a new piece of audio for her, and it decided to get a little bit creative, and I hope you enjoyed that. So she will have her own music, courtesy of Ron Bumblefoot Thal, The Bumblefoot lives. If you go to our website, spacedoutradio.com, you can check out all of his music, get in touch with him. And you know what? If you're a fan, and I know there are people out here who are a fan of Bumblefoot's music, do me a favor. Message him on Twitter or message him on Facebook. Say, hey, I heard your music on Spaced Out Radio. Love it. Thank you. You know what? He's actually the kind of guy who will respond to you. He's really cool. For a guy who's a major rock star and a very talented musician who is requested for movies, commercials, bands, to play on people's albums and other artists' albums, you know, he's so down to earth. So send him a message. Just let him know what you think. And I hope you liked your new intro.
I think it's fantabulous in every which way. We're not in Kansas anymore. No
way.
The second version is woo. That's how it was meant to be, Dave. It happened. It was synchronized. It happened for a reason.
It was supposed to happen.
That's
was supposed to
right.
happen. So we are talking to Yvonne Palermo, and you have to roll the R in Palermo, not in Groovie Bean. That's just a single R. But when you get to the last name, you got to go Palermo. And she's going to be hosting the first hour of Spaced Out Radio. We have a paranormal show tonight. Glen and Derrick from Chronicles of the Unknown are going to be joining us at the top of the hour. What's your take on the paranormal?
All things paranormal are all things interesting. I love the paranormal. I've seen ghosts. And I would like to learn more about that, but I'm learning. I'm learning more about the paranormal. I guess when I became more awake was more into the aliens and the auras and all that, though, too. That could be considered paranormal as well, I guess. It's kind of I guess it could be categorized into many different subcategories, couldn't it, Dave?
It could. Tell us about your own paranormal experience, what you've seen.
Oh, well, there's a few of them, but I sat up in bed one night, had to be about close to that 3 a.m. mark, and there was a couple. They were translucent, and they were kind of in a membraney green in colonial clothing. And they were just walking through the house. And they didn't say anything. But they were arm in arm. You know how they would, back in the day when people would kind of do that arm in arm in the crook of your elbow walking. That's what they were doing. But it was a membraney green color, very translucent, but you could see the detail on the clothing though as well. Pretty interesting. At least I thought it was.
I would absolutely freak if I saw that. I remember when I saw the little girl in my house. I thought it was my daughter, but it wasn't because she was sleeping on my arm. And when I saw her, and then I could see right through her, and I saw the time, 4:02 a.m., right through her, I freaked out.
Did you?
And how can you not? I mean, that was the first time I'd seen a ghost. Right? It was kind of weird. But when we get to Glen and Derrick from Chronicles of the Unknown, these guys, I mean, I think combined they have about 50 years of investigation, combined for what they are doing on their Chronicles of the Unknown. And they've got a real cool story because they've been doing a television series about the Gold Rush Trail. Now that starts in California, it goes right up to the Yukon-Alaskan border and right through British Columbia where I am in Washington State where you are. And it's very, very interesting to have them talk. Hey, would you like to stick around for that?
I think I shall. I would love to.
Awesome.
Thank you for asking.
Not a problem. I'm having fun here tonight.
Hey, Dave.
Yes.
Do we have time for a question? I see a question.
I do.
Paranormal into the night.
Eric has a question for you, And he is asking Yvonne Palermo, roll that tongue, after being in the abyss, do you find fear different now?
Love the question, Eric. High five. Boop. Yes, completely different. I love this question. I find fear trivial. I do not have fear. And the other difference is I do not have depression anymore, and I'm worried. Worry is gone. And I have to tell you, it's so freeing, Eric and listeners. Oh my gosh, it's wonderful. So I've had in dream states where I'm dealing, say, with gray aliens, right? You have control, right? So great question. That you're the first one to ask at. So yeah, control, no fear, because again, with fear, we know that there's certain beings out there that thrive on fear. So love, and love. Have control. Mm-hmm. I hope that helps your question, Eric.
As you play with your incense and peppermints, as you say that.
There
Absolutely.
You go.
It's all hippie.
It's
very, very hippie. You know what? I think this is going to work out. We're getting some positive reviews from you so far, which, you know what? I was hoping I would get this, and my intuition on it was right. Everybody is so far loving what you are doing, and I think you're going to add an absolute different aspect to the show, which is going to be very, very comfortable. And, you know, if I could reach through the computer right now, I'd give you a hug, damn it. I would.
Oh my God. I tell you what, Dave Scott, I'll hug you back and everybody else out there too. I love everybody. And thank you. I'm feeling comfy. I was nervous at the beginning, but who wouldn't be? Natural. But we'll get this. And thank you for your patience. Yes.
Well, and like I said, and I'm going to remind people, like, give it a couple of weeks here just to make sure that Yvonne can find her niche and her groove, no pun intended, and get comfortable in the hot seat. And you know what? The main thing is we're going to try and do something different that nobody else is doing out there. You know, we want to add that news section. We're not going to be talking about news that you would see in daytime media. We're not talking about the political races. We're not talking about what's happening in the Middle East, the oil crunch, the earthquakes that are going on. You guys come to us because we're your break from reality, even though some of them and the experiences are very real to a lot of people. But we're not mainstream news here. So Yvonne's job on a daily basis will be to scour the internet and make sure that everybody is on par with what we are doing. Talking about the stories that are out there, talking about her own personal things. You know, she's going to add a little bit of flavor. For people who are into rocks and crystals, she may have a daily or a weekly crystal update on what could help you for a couple of minutes. I think that's great. I mean, when I broadcast, if you could see, I have a giant, it's almost like a 5-pin bowling ball sized piece of a round orb of sodalite. Sodalite, to me, helps out. Because it helps people who are creative. It helps people who are left-handed, because we are a little bit different, and I'm a lefty. It helps people with anxiety. It helps people with depression. So we're going to be discussing all those little tidbits. We want this to be a little bit more informative rather than just coming in, hey, we have an interview going on, and this is what we're going to be talking about. We're going to have some fun. At the bottom of the hour, on the first hour, I'm going to hop into the hot seat with her, and we're going to have a little bit of a head-on-head on topics that she picks out. Okay. It's going to be a lot of fun. So, we're going to step out for a commercial break. We're going to get our guests lined up. Groovie Bean, Yvonne Palermo, our host of Spaced Out Radio's first hour. She will be hosting tomorrow night starting at 9 p.m. Pacific, midnight Eastern Time, as Spaced Out Radio is now 3 hours long. We'll be right back after this break.
Do you believe you've been in contact with extraterrestrials? Have you seen the Greys, the Mantis, or the Reptilians? I am Samantha Mullet, and on the second Tuesday of each month, you can listen and learn from my experiences with off-worlders on Spaced Out Radio's The ET Experience. With host Dave Scott, we'll sit down and chat about what's going on with our friends from other worlds. We'll also try to answer your questions, so please tune in on the second Tuesday of the month, only on Spaced Out Radio.
Did you know that Spaced Out Radio runs 7 days a week? Hi, it's James Tyson from Spaced Out Weekend. Every Saturday and Sunday night, starting at 9 p.m. Pacific, midnight Eastern, you can join me and my guests for some great chatter about what's going on out in the universe, or even in that dark part of the basement you really don't want to go back into. Well, let's find the answers to your experiences together. So come on up to Uncle Jimbo's cabin on the weekend. For more information, look us up at spacedoutradio.com.
Attention Spaced Out Radio listeners. For only $5 a month, you can join Spaced Out Radio Space Travelers. Your membership at spacedoutradio.com will give you access to private fan area on the website, get you a monthly newsletter, draws for monthly swag, and a whole lot more. Sign up today to become a part of the Spaced Out Radio experience.
With an ever-expanding listenership base, Spaced Out Radio is the perfect place for you to advertise your product. Our listeners support those who sponsor this show. So whether you're an author or a company, Spaced Out Radio is the perfect place for you. Our pricing is more than competitive, and your advertisements will be seen and heard every show. Head to spacedoutradio.com and advertise with us today. Contact us at info@spacedoutradio.com today.
Let your experience begin right now. From high atop the mountains of British Columbia to you listening around the world, this is Spaced Out Radio. You can follow us on our website, spacedoutradio.com, on Twitter, @SpacedOutRadio. Give our Facebook page a like, Spaced Out Radio Show. You can follow us on Instagram, Dave Scott, SOR, or on our YouTube channel, Spaced Out Radio Show. Buckle up, space travelers. It's time to go for a ride as we are live on Spaced Out Radio.
Ignition sequence start. 6, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1.
The deeper I go, the deeper I fall.
Good evening and welcome to Space Out Radio tonight. I am your host, Dave Scott, and thank you so much for tuning in at spacedoutradio.com and on Spreaker. As once again, we come in from the frozen Canadian tundra, even though it was like 20 degrees up here. That's in Celsius. Battle our way past the wild animals, sidestep Bigfoot, and enter Uncle Jimbo's cabin, stoke the fire, heat this place up, and broadcast to you live on this Monday night, early Tuesday morning if you're on the East Coast. Here at SOR, we do this thing 7 days a week. We are now a 3-hour show starting at 9 p.m. Pacific, midnight Eastern Time. We have introduced the Groovie Bean, Yvonne Palermo, as she will stick with us for the remainder of this show, but she'll be hosting the first hour of SOR on Monday through Friday, and then I will come on to do the regular show at 10 o'clock. We want to be your official one-stop shop when it comes to the supernatural, paranormal, conspiratorial, spiritual, and so much more. Spaced Out Radio's theme music is courtesy of guitar god Ron Bumblefoot Thal. You can find his new album, Little Brother is Watching, by going to our website, spacedoutradio.com, and clicking on the Bumblefoot banner. If you're a social media junkie like I am, you can follow us on Twitter, at Spaced Out Radio. Give our Facebook page a like, Spaced Out Radio Show. On Instagram, I can be followed at Dave Scott, SOR. Subscribe to our YouTube channel, Spaced Out Radio Show. And of course, our website is spacedoutradio.com. At this time, we always love to send a shout out to our fans listening in on the SHR Media Network in Spaced Out Radio's chat room, along with Paranormal Into the Night and Paranormal Forum. Hey, if you're a fan of SOR, and we hope you are if you're tuning in, coming soon to our website is the Space Travelers membership, where for only $5 a month, yeah, just $5, you can register with us, win prizes, take part in private group interviews, have a special section on our website, monthly newsletters, and so much more. Hey, we're going to give you a hell of a lot more than just access to our archives. Tonight's show is brought to you by Rivulet Reiki and Readings, providing healings in person or at a distance. PurplePlates.com, helping heal your body, mind, and soul. Earlier on, we found out Corrine from PurplePlates.com is going to be giving away a purple plate to one lucky listener tonight on the show. We just have to think of a question yet, and we're working on that. 80,000 people a month read the new Agora newspaper, the official paper of Spaced Out Radio, and the official ghost hunting app of SOR is the iPhone app Spirit Storybox. Tonight we step back into the paranormal field as we get into the ghosts and goblins that rule the night with our monthly edition of Chronicles of the Unknown. The team of Glen Ferguson, Derrick Whiteskycloud, Troy Ryan, and Mike Morin are, I'm getting tongue-tied here, are a British Columbia-based team filming a series of paranormal haunts along the infamous Gold Rush Trail that started down in California and made its way straight up to the Canadian Yukon and Alaska. It's not only a trail of gold and good fortune, but a trail of blood, sweat, tears, as well as murder and deceit as well. The haunted tales from this team, which is a combined over 60 years of paranormal investigation experience, is incredible. They may use the most advanced technology out there to help their investigations, but their methods are honest and very old school. Tonight on the show, we will discuss the Gold Rush Trail, hauntings in general, and the rights and the wrongs of paranormal investigation. I bring Glen Ferguson and Derrick Whiteskycloud in from Chronicles of the Unknown, and sticking with us tonight is Yvonne Palermo, the Groovie Bean. Everybody, thank you so much for being with us. How are you?
Good, how are you?
I am great. I am absolutely great. Is Derrick still with us?
Buenos dias, señor.
Oh, thank you. Thank you, Hervé. I appreciate that. And Yvonne is with us as well. Now, you guys just did a charity event in a place called Sicamous, British Columbia. You literally just got off the road a few hours ago.
No, that's actually incorrect. It was in Penticton.
Okay, in Penticton, British Columbia.
Yes, Sicamous, which is the actual So there you go.
One thing that I want to bring to our audience's attention here is what Chronicles of the Unknown is actually doing is pretty cool, because not only are they actually going out and filming these investigations, and we're going to get into them tonight, but what they are doing, because a lot of these historic places are tourist attractions, and a lot of people may not understand that there is a haunted nightlife there, they're actually creating charity events to raise money for these haunted places. And I think that's pretty commendable of you guys. Glen, I'm going to start with you here. When did you guys get in to the idea that it would be a great idea to do these charity events to help support the conservancy of these special places?
I've pretty much been doing that since the get-go. It's something that I wanted to do to give back. And once they let you in, it's like, thank you very much for doing that for nothing. Can we come back and actually give you kind of an event where we can actually raise money to support your non-society?
And how has the response been, Glenn, with that? When you guys are saying, hey, we're not here to just take up your time to unlock some doors and let us have 4, 5, 6 hours a night in your haunted building, but we want to give back to you as well.
It's a combination of, well, now when can you come back? Now, we've already been asked after this event that we just done, which is fantastic for us. We had probably 12 guests with us and 6 investigators, so it was like 2-to-1 ratio. It couldn't have been better for us, couldn't have been better for the guests, and we got some amazing results.
So when you take these guests on this charity donation for these investigations, what do you put them through?
We basically have a historian on site who can actually walk them around the property and explain what the ship was about, what happened on the ship, when it was dated, when it was dragged up on shore, which is 1951. It came in commission, I believe, 1914, dry docked 1938, and then dragged over to where it is right now in 1951. So there's a vast history there. It actually ferried people in the First World War to war.
Really? And Derrick, you being not only an investigator on this team, but you're also the psychic medium of the team as well. What is the reaction from people when they see the way you investigate compared to the other guys who are a lot more technically advanced with the equipment that they use, whereas you go with more of a traditional method?
It was actually quite interesting because, I would say, I asked the group. We had 12 joining us, and I asked them which ones had the most interest in the psychic sense of it or the medium sense of it, and there's 3 of them. And they said, we're more into the psychic and the medium part of it. And I said, okay, then I'm going to have you guys come with me. So it was kind of cool because we divided each of these groups up from 12 to who's got who wants to learn about the technician, the technical sense of it, which is the equipment.
Yeah.
That would be Glen's category. And then we had a person that's more like the research skeptics kind of thing. Those guys went with the other group. So we had that 3 breakdown that everyone had that experience. And not one of them ever walked away saying, oh, I didn't see nothing or got nothing. Everybody got hit.
Even the guys who were working on staff, you can pretty much guarantee. We had a couple of guys out from VPS who were actually helping us out.
Yeah.
And it was nice to have them there because they were amazing. Like, they were already experienced investigators. They knew what they were doing. They were willing to help in, like jump in as a camera person or whatever. But amazing people.
When you guys went on the investigation over the weekend, was it a one-night thing? Was it a 2-night event? How did you break it down?
Derrick?
We broke it down, first of all, with the event itself. Like, having to be the first night, we wanted to have people wanting to do the experience. They want to. The thing is that there's really no other team that does that. Glenn and I researched this. There's hardly anybody that does that, helping to get people to go on to participate with us. These are the people that always want to try the first time experience. But this is not the first time we've done this. We've actually did it in Richmond. And we actually did a Paranormal conference last year in July. And we did it in Richmond where we had 30-plus people join us. And we were at the Glen, where was that again? Steveston. Basically, we broke up in groups. So and we actually, at the cannery, we had a great time because everyone again had that experience. They wanted to find out what it was like, and so we realized after that we got something going here. And then the next night we decided to go back in again as our own personal group to see if we missed anything, or because sometimes when you have more people on site doing investigations, sometimes you don't always get a whole group of people having to experience it. But we're actually kind of shocked because when we went back in last night, we got a whole whack of them again. It's just as much the first night as the second night. In fact, if Glenn remembers this, I made a prediction that someone's going to get jolted really good at the end of the boat. And guess who got jolted because he wanted to go alone?
Yeah, what
was it Glenn again?
Yeah. And they actually caught it on camera. I'm like, no, don't catch that on camera. Me screaming and yelling and running around and F-bombing everywhere. It does happen.
You'll get to see that.
One of the things that I would love our audience to know is Glen is fearless. He spent 20 plus years in the British Army. He spent, time in war zones as, I believe, a sniper, right, Glen?
Yes.
Okay. This man is fearless. He's a veteran. He's brave. But the one thing that he always has to do is he has to go into places on his own. It's like his own little investigation that he has to do. And every time he gets the crap knocked out of him one way or another, and it's a big laugh in between the group with Troy, Mike, and Derrick because Glen just doesn't seem to learn.
I have this limit which I want to push. It's not really being brash or being provoking or whatever. It's just I want to see how far I can go before they kind of stop pushing back.
Mm-hmm. Oh, I totally agree with that. Totally agree with that.
But the most interesting part is that whenever, and Glenn knows this, and I go through the same thing. When you tell a spirit to stay where you are and just, we're doing step by step by step by step. It's not us; it's the spirits. They go over. They take the next step, and they'll actually startle you. They'll grab you, or push you, and they hit you in a way that you're not expecting it. Mm-hmm. And you're going, wow, and your heart either is your stomach is actually is coming out of your rear end, or
shut up. Do not go there.
I'm talking about just me too because I've had.
Okay, whatever.
But we always joke about our other partner, Mike, because Mike's the one that runs.
Yes, he does.
And he's actually getting a lot better.
Yes, he is.
Yes, he is, because now he doesn't run, but he'll go, ah! Like you catch him off guard, so now he this.
We are talking with Glen Ferguson and Derrick Whiteskycloud from Chronicles of the Unknown tonight on Spaced Out Radio. We also have the Groovie Bean, Yvonne Palermo, with us, as she will be hosting the first hour of Spaced Out Radio starting tomorrow night. Yvonne, do you have any questions for Glen and Derrick in regards to their charity work that they are giving back on these investigations?
You know what? I'm sitting back listening, and I had a little bit of interference, and it cut out partway, so I'm sorry about that. I don't want to ask a wrong question.
Don't worry, it cut out for us too.
Did it? Okay.
Yeah, sometimes Skype can be a little finicky, but we're going to make it through.
Yes.
We are absolutely going to make it through. We can do it, man. We can do it.
Yeah.
When it comes to the investigation, when you had the people come in for the charity event last night, you're not taking $1 for this, are you? Like, you're going up there on your own dime, Derrick, and you are actually raising money for the said charity or the said historic site, aren't you?
No, we're not taking anything for it because when you see a foundation that's trying to get a boat back on the water, like the SS Narmada, it hasn't been on the water for a long, long time, so they're trying to get it redone and get it back in the water. It's a tugboat. And then we were just informed last night that the SS Sycamoose, they want to put that one back on the water as well.
I'd love that.
And so it's going to be, here, when they start saying that we want to get it back in the water, I'm thinking, oh man, a floating restaurant. Something, an idea that's going to be kind of cool because it's not going to be just something that they're going to send people out to go somewhere. It's going to be a place where people can actually still enjoy themselves. Because from the very beginning, I think it's 1914, 1918 is where it made its first voyage. And I find it that we're helping its history back into the water again. We have our own historical, because we're called a historical paranormal team, we're bringing history back and helping history back on the water. It's not going to stay dry docked forever.
And I think that's an important question that you just mentioned, that you guys are a historical team. You're about telling stories about what happened in the past, not about what happened at the local insane asylum that every paranormal group seems to want to investigate. Why, in the end, then, did you guys decide that you needed to tell the paranormal story, Glen, of the Gold Rush Trail?
For me, I just wanted to show something that it was beyond America. They had their trail up there. And when it came to California, it seemed to stop as far as history was concerned. They forgot about it carried on between 1855 up to 1885, which was the best for British Columbia, all the way up to Barkerville and beyond, all the way up to Dawson City.
Were you surprised then that for a lot of paranormal aficionados that listen to this show, that most of these sites that you have actually been to have either rarely or never been investigated?
And that's when you start to dig into your own history, like what has not been done, what is on the trail. And it's always been there. It's just no one's ever bothered to actually look at it. I find this odd, coming from England myself, with a vast history around us, which has been there since the 12th, 13th centuries. It's sitting there, and we take that for granted. And then when I come over here, I thought, okay, I want to check out this, I want to check out that, from BC's histories. And no one really seemed to care about what is left there.
I have a question coming from Claudia in Paranormal Into the Night. And Claudia is asking Derrick and Glen, and one of you can choose to answer first, what was the best story you have heard from a spirit regarding the Gold Rush times?
Go, Derrick. You know that one.
108 Mile House, 105 Mile House. I would say it was one of my favorites. But I would say, oh man, there's it's hard to break down. One of the most scariest? I don't think 105 was actually the most scariest. I think the most scariest was one that Glen went to and Mike was dealing with, and that would be Quesnel.
Yeah, Quesnel was kind of a little bit scary for us.
Yeah. I mean, it was actually, I would say a bit of a how do you say it? Unexpected hit.
I would say it would be a cluster F bomb here.
Yeah, lots of it.
Because we didn't prepare ourselves before going in. We messed around. We were just checking our equipment, basically. We left it there overnight running. We wanted to go in and check it out, make sure everything was running okay, and we captured something overnight. And all of a sudden, everything went to ratchet.
Yeah.
And was that up at the Quesnel Museum where we had you guys on live?
Yeah, that would be the actual event right there.
We have a bunch of new listeners who have tuned into this show. Since we've moved over to Spreaker, we've actually tripled our audience in listenership. So, Glen, I would love it if you could take the time to explain the situation with Mandy the doll and what happened to you.
Okay, we had some claims that Mandy the doll was haunted. It had been going on for years. And we thought, well, let's go up there. We're up there for Barkerville, we're up there for Cottonwood, we're up there for 108. Quesnel's in the middle. Let's go up there and actually check out this doll. We have permission from the curator to go up there. We spent the night. We dumped off our equipment overnight and said, okay, let's let it run. We had a couple of IR lights on the doll, plus a few full spectrums. Okay, we set them up. But we couldn't run power that night because there was no power once she shuts off the lights for the museum. So we ran battery. Batteries lasted anywhere between an hour and a half and 45 minutes. Beyond that, our guys came in the morning, we checked our gear, we were just setting up, checking to see if we had captured enough evidence from the night before. And for some reason, the guys came back in and I was kneeling in front of the doll, totally in a trance. Troy made eye-to-eye contact with me and broke that kind of trance that was going on, and I immediately bolted out and kind of threw up.
Now, the doll had put you in some sort of trance, did it not?
I'm not going to blame it on the doll. There's so many things in there that are different.
Mm-hmm.
And so, to try to... Everyone said that the doll is haunted. I feel nothing really in the doll, but there may be something in that museum that is using that doll as a conduit.
I see. And Derrick, one of the things that I want to introduce to people about you, for those who may not be familiar with your background, you come from a First Nations background. You are very spiritual. You're a energy healer. You are a shaman. You are a psychic medium. You wear you wear many hats, even though you can only place one on your head. When you saw that the group had forgotten at that point to bless yourselves before going into the site and asking for peace and asking for guidance and help and everything that you do, what was your reaction? And before you answer that question, let me just ask if you could explain to our audience what type of miniature ceremony you do before you guys go into an investigation.
Well, there is a rumor that I do some of this work, but I wasn't sure. Well, I was just kidding.
Yeah, right.
It was something that actually every time that whenever we do our work, we always adamantly do our prayer protection. We always make sure we're grounded before we get started, and I would say for Cornell. And but when you get into it so often, and we're so excited to go to these locations, and we tend to forget that we have to do that first, protect ourselves before we go in, and I would say to Glen or Mike or whatever, and then say, well, we need to do this. We need to start this quickly before we start. And Glen says, well, let's get set up first. And okay, well, so the guys are going in, getting it set first, and then all of a sudden and then we forgot, everything that we're supposed to do step by step, and then we get hit. And
we get sloppy.
We get sloppy, and you cannot, you don't have time to be sloppy. It is very, very important. If anyone ever tries to be involved in any kind of investigation, I don't care if it's paranormal investigation with a whole team or even by yourself, you have to 100% plus protect yourself before you decide to go in, because you don't know what you're going to get hit with.
Great.
And what I had seen when I was there, when Glen got hypnotized, when Mike got hypnotized, it even looked at me and tried to hypnotize me, and I looked at it and I says, "No, not going to get it." And then it turned its eyes towards Glen again. Mm-hmm. And the thing is that it's not the doll specifically, like Glen said. It was what's hovering about outside of Glen, or outside of the doll, and it looked like the same as the doll itself, except it's looked like a person. To me, I would say like a little miniature person, a minion of another dimension, and his eyes are dark black. Now, my feelings too, this doll is most like, I call them death dolls, which these dolls, it had the same hair as a baby, as a live child, has the same hair, same eyebrows, same eyelashes, and they used to do that quite often by using ceramic dolls to make in death dolls, because back in those years, the mother would not want to lose a memory of her baby, so that's what they would do. They transfer the hair off the child, and then they would keep that child or that doll in the house in the memory of their child, and they will also put a little like a long little gown or dress on this doll, and everyone would believe to this day that this doll has a female connection by calling it Mandy. And it's not. It's actually a boy doll, mean Mandan, and which is a German word, which is a boy's name, not Mandy. And everybody thinks it's a girl, and it's not, because they tend to forget that the time passed. If you look at some of these old photographs from any, say even before my time, before my birth, and I was born in the 50s, but children born in the 1930s, 40s, 50s always wore long gowns. Boys wore long gowns with curly locks in their hair. The mothers always wanted to have a little girl, but yet they still have the boy fur. And these are the things that people don't realize. So there's something there we're not too sure, but I'm going by what that feeling is from my own self.
I have a different opinion.
Yeah.
Well, we're going to get that opinion right after this break. We are talking with Glen Ferguson and Derrick Whiteskycloud from Chronicles of the Unknown. They make their monthly appearance on Spaced Out Radio the third Monday of every month where we talk paranormal. You guys are listening to Spaced Out Radio. This is night number 1 of 3 hours as I am your host, Dave Scott, joined by Yvonne Palermo, the Groovie Bean, who will be hosting the first hour. She is out there somewhere. Maybe she's wandering the wilderness. I don't know. We're going to hop out for a break. When we come back, more paranormal talk with Chronicles of the Unknown.
Would you like to become one of our space travelers? All you have to do is click on the Space Travelers icon at spacedoutradio.com. For only $5 a month, you can get access to some great prizes, as well as private monthly shows, newsletters, and a members-only section on our website. Become a space traveler today.
Hi there. This is your medium, Joanna, from Spaced Out Weekend, 2 mediums and a large. I would love it if you would come and join us with host James Tyson every other Sunday on Spaced Out Weekend. Together, we will take your calls and your questions live. Our goal is to provide you with a positive outlook on deep questions that you may have. Questions regarding love, relationships, money, or whatever else is on your mind. Come and check us out at spacedoutradio.com.
Every Saturday and Sunday night, as Dave Scott wanders aimlessly in the wilderness, you can come hang out with me, James Tyson, in Spaced Out Weekend. Starting at 9 p.m. Pacific, midnight Eastern, I'll take you along as we talk with some of the best experts in their fields. SpacedOutRadio.com is the place to find us. So sit down, relax, put your feet up. Enjoy the topics like the paranormal, supernatural, intuitiveness, and so much more. Hope to see you there.
Hi there, this is Elizabeth Anglin, and on the last Monday of every month, I join Dave Scott for Spaced Out Radio's Cosmic Passport. We delve into everything from extraterrestrial contact to animal communication. It's a lot of fun, and every month it's something different and exciting. I would love it if you would join us. You can hear and learn from my experiences, and I'd like to know about yours as well. Cosmic Passport on spacedoutradio.com.
Hey everybody, this is Patrick Webster Small, and I'm here to bring you the Webster Phenomena every Saturday night, live at 8 p.m. Pacific, 11 p.m. Eastern. If you're looking for aliens and extraterrestrials, well, we've got them. Big and tall, short and small, you're bound to find what you're looking for, so join me on the Webster Phenomena right here on Spaced Out Radio.
Visit purpleplates.com today. For over 40 years, the Purple Energy Plates have been delivering amazing results for their many customers. Inspired by the great genius Nikola Tesla, the harmony, healing, and energetic effects of the plates have proven over and over to be beneficial and often miraculous to thousands of customers. With their money-back guarantee and the many benefits, how can you afford not to get one? Check their site for daily specials and choose from their many energy products. You won't be sorry. Visit them today at purpleplates.com for mind, body, and spirit, and expect a miracle.
Have you ever wondered about those weird and strange creatures people have reported throughout history? Do you wonder if those stories are real? Me too, and that's why I started Cryptopia.us. Hey, this is Rob Morphy, crypto historian. Join me once a month on Spaced Out Radio with Dave Scott, where we will get into the odd and bizarre reports, from the Dover Demon to hairy hominids and everything in between. I will break down what people like you and me are seeing at spacedoutradio.com.
Would you like to advertise on Spaced Out Radio? Getting your message out to Spaced Out Radio's listeners will benefit you. Our listeners are loyal, intelligent, and supportive, and they support those who support this broadcast. For pricing and information, you could go to spacedoutradio.com to find the pricing guide that suits your needs, with many options to choose from. Advertise with Spaced Out Radio today by contacting us at info@spacedoutradio.com.
Want to connect with us online? Find us on Facebook, Spaced Out Radio Show, on Twitter @Spaced Out Radio, on Instagram, Dave Scott SOR, on YouTube, Spaced Out Radio Show, and our website is spacedoutradio.com. All right, space travelers, here comes the second half hour of Spaced Out Radio. Welcome back to Spaced Out Radio tonight. I am your host, Dave Scott. Thank you so much for tuning in as we are now 3 hours long on SOR. It's a great time for us as we expand the show. I am joined tonight by the Groovie Bean, Yvonne Palermo, who will be hosting the first hour of SOR Monday through Friday. Our guests tonight are Glen Ferguson and Derrick Whiteskycloud from Chronicles of the Unknown. They make their monthly appearance the third Monday of every month to talk paranormal. It'll be a different topic every month we have these gentlemen on. Before we bring them on, I do want to remind you, tomorrow night, Brad and Sherry Steiger will join us. We're going to talk paranormal visitors, both from the paranormal and the extraterrestrial world. If you haven't read one of their 150 books that they have either authored or co-authored, I highly suggest you check them out. We'll get to them tomorrow night. If you want to follow us on Twitter, you can do so at Spaced Out Radio. Give our Facebook page a like, Spaced Out Radio Show. On Instagram, we can be followed at Dave Scott, SOR. Our YouTube channel, where all our archives are hiding, is Spaced Out Radio Show. Click on the subscribe button for that if you wouldn't mind. And our website is spacedoutradio.com. Once again, we're talking with the Glen and Derrick from Chronicles of the Unknown. I'm also joined by Yvonne Palermo. Now, right before the break, we were talking about the haunted doll Mandy that is in the Quesnel, British Columbia Museum, where, Glen, this doll seemed to memorize you. You have a little bit of a differing opinion than Derrick does of the doll. What's your opinion?
My opinion is that it's not the doll. The doll is the focus. Like, everyone goes in there looking at the doll thinking, oh, the haunted doll, Mandy. But I think there's something else in there. And I'm guessing it's from the World War II side of the museum, using that particular doll as a conduit.
Now, the funny part about that is, when we went in there, and I went with you the night before this investigation, because it was close to my area of the boonies, and I made sure to tell you guys, when I was kind of wandering alone, you have to check out this mannequin that is dressed in military garb. There is something there. He scared the living heck out of me, and I remember before we left that night, I actually whispered in the mannequin's ear, I know you can hear me, I know you're in there, and he was giving me nothing. But Glen, you being a former captain in the British Army, you actually had a little bit of an experience with him. Could you share that?
Yeah, I noticed that there was some clothing changes within the uniform, which would not be normal for that particular time period. So I kind of pointed it out that he was out of uniform, and as an officer, I wanted to discipline him for being in that dress. And we had an experience beyond that where the back door kind of flew open, and everyone on camera, including yourself, I think you believe that you were there at the time, heard the back door slam.
Was that a first for you guys to have that happen?
To have that kind of immediate response, yes.
Did it set you back a little bit, Derrick, when that happened? Because, I mean, even someone as experienced in the paranormal such as you, I mean, something has to still startle you.
I would say it didn't startle me, but I was going like, yes, he made some noise. Yes, they did something, because we want him to say, please, like, tell us. And when you heard this bang in the back door, like, it has to be pushed open. It has one of those push handles to get out the back door. And this is the middle of winter. And we heard this bang, and the door just went way open, like straight ahead. And the spirit left the building, like went outside or opened up and say, I'm out of here. And that's the cool part. I was like, yes, we got something. Yes, So it's going to be interesting. You guys, when you watch the show, you're going to actually get an experience in itself. This is just a small, minute experience for us, but it's going to be a big experience for all you guys.
Well, the interesting part about it, Glen, is you actually started trying to outrank this gentleman who was in this mannequin. And we can assume it was a gentleman because most soldiers back then were all men. Take us through that process of what you were saying to him that actually spooked him to run out the door.
Well, he was classed as gunnery crew from 1914 to 1918, and then beyond that, from 1939 to 1944, where he apparently died. But the trench coat didn't actually match what unit he was with at that time. They would never wear that kind of trench coat. You can Google everything with that doll and find out that the badge was wrong, the hat was wrong. And I just kind of felt it bugged me. Now, being ex-military, you find something that's like not genuine, especially being a historian as well, especially with World War II. And it just annoyed me for some reason. And I just kind of took it out on the mannequin, and before you know it, we're actually getting responses.
How long after you started outranking him did he finally take off?
2 minutes, max.
Interesting. Very interesting. I do have some questions from the Spaced Out Radio listeners here, but first, before we get to that, we are giving away a purple plate from Corinne de Winter from purpleplates.com, one of this show's major sponsors. And the question that we have for our audience tonight is, Nikola Tesla spent the period of 1919 to 1922 working for a company in Milwaukee. If you could name me this company that Tesla worked for, I will get you a purple plate from Corinne de Winter. That's how we're going to do it tonight. So, what company did Nikola Tesla work for between 1919 and 1922 in Milwaukee? First answer to that will win a purple plate, courtesy of Spaced Out Radio, and more from Corinne de Winter and purpleplates.com. The first question I have comes from Eric in paranormalforum.net. Have you ever had something follow you home or elsewhere from a location? Derrick, we'll start with you.
Yeah, Glen followed me home.
Yeah, right. You wish.
Yes, I did. Before I met my guys, I had one follow me home. In fact, it tried taking me over, control me through my eyes in my vehicle when I was driving, and couldn't see through very well. I got sick. I threw up, and then I came into the house and told my wife that I need help. So she'd pull out the medicines, and I'd get my clothes off and jump on the tub, and then she'd bring out the medicines and she'd fill it out the tub, and then she'd take this big huge towel and soak the towel, and then I'd be on my knees in the tub, and then she'd lay the towel with the medicines in it, and I'd lay it on my back, and as I'm like in a fetal position on my knees, and then she'd say, she'd say, "White Bear, help your brother," and then she'd pray over me, and within say about a half an hour, and then I'm down for the count for a couple hours to get it out of me. So I've had a few that follow me. In fact, I actually told the guys this last trip we had, they did follow me, or follow us, should say. We asked them not to follow, but when I got woke up at about 4 a.m. After I finished doing our investigation, and there was a woman standing at the foot of my bed.
But that was still in Penticton.
We were still in Penticton, and she was just staring at me, waking me up at 4 a.m. She wanted to talk to me, and I go like, "What? What do you want to tell me?" And there was no words. Just she kept looking at me, and I said, "Well, you got to say something because I'm really, really tired. I've only got 3-4 hours sleep." And because we never got really, either one of us got to sleep until about 3 a.m. And but you know, you got your eyes closed. Next thing you know, it's 4, and then she wakes me up, and then I said, "Well, you got to say something, or else I'm going back to sleep." But she took her hand and she shoved me in my chest, wake me up again when I was starting to fall back to sleep again, and nothing happened, and then that was it. But I think she just wanted to let me know that she was there, whether she was thanking me or just saying that, because that's the last investigation that Glen and I did together. We were in the dance hall area, and she wanted to get our attention. We were just closing down, and I guess maybe she decided to follow us home. We never mentioned about her much. It's the history of that particular place is different in different aspects, different history of aspects. There's actually different kind of ghosts that from different time periods that hang around the place. So, but I would say that's the only one that I know that followed us back recently.
And Glenn, I want your opinion on that, but first I want to just give a quick congratulations to one of our listeners, Jefferson Rose. He answered the Tesla question properly and correctly for the purple plate. The answer, or the question was, where did Tesla work between 1919 and 1922 in Milwaukee? It was Alice Chalmers, and it was a factory, and Jefferson Rose got it correctly. And we appreciate you taking the time. Corrine de Winter from purpleplates.com. Thank you so much for donating a plate tonight. And Jefferson, make sure Corrine gets your information. Really appreciate that. Now, back to you for a second here, Glenn. In regards to you, have you ever had a spirit follow you home?
A couple of times, but I've learned over the years to kind of stop that from happening. It's not always fun. There's many locations where I've left where I've actually had to get my wife to pull over on the side of the road so I can throw up. That's no joke. You could think all you want about what you see on TV and blah, blah, blah. They're faking it, blah, 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 when they throw up and they get sick. It's not a joke. No, that does actually happen on investigations.
Mm-hmm. Claudia and Paranormal Into the Night is asking, Glenn, did you feel like you were being pulled into another dimension when you went into that trance with Mandy the doll? Is that why you threw up, or did everything just happen too fast that you don't remember?
I don't remember. I was actually just checking the cameras to see how much was actually recorded on each camera. We had 2 full spectrums going that night, plus my IR. And I thought, okay, we're on full charge batteries. They'll last all night, or at least half a night, so we can get some decent footage to see if anything occurs with this doll. And we found out within about 2 minutes that they'd all done. My guys went back out to grab some more gear. They came back in, they found me kneeling in front of the doll. And I don't remember anything. I mean, like 5 minutes went by. They were joking and laughing. Oh, Glenn sitting in front of the doll. He's probably trying to hypnotize it. And then they made eye contact with me, and it was all of a sudden, it was like, I kind of just bolted upright because I made eye contact with Troy. He was kind of looking at me going, I don't think he's okay. Mm-hmm. And I just kind of just popped up, ran outside because I felt I didn't want to puke in the museum. Ever. That's kind of one of my things. I just don't puke in museums. But to get outside and then have Troy follow me out with the camera, which I wasn't expecting either. I think Mike told him, like, go get him. Find out what's wrong. And just get it on camera. And we do have my reactions on camera initially, including me telling Troy to, like, get out of my face, which is not my style to do that with Troy, because me and Troy have been together like 6-7 years now, investigating together. I've never, ever told him to get out of my face, ever.
It's amazing what you have to go through in order to learn about this, because just when you think you've tackled everything, something new like this happens. It really shows that it doesn't matter what the investigation is, you really have to continue to be on guard, isn't it?
Yeah. It's one of those things, like I said, we kind of got complacent occasionally, because we think, okay, we're just going to go in and check the gear. But we can tend to forget that we're actually going back into a location that's quite active.
Mm-hmm.
Derrick, what's your thoughts? Derrick?
I would say that even Mike got hit as well, and Mike was acting differently too. In fact, here's the crazy part. He wanted to go outside, like he went outside with us, and then he said to me, "Do you got any peanuts? I need some peanuts." And I'm thinking, what the hell does he want peanuts for?
Yeah, what was with that?
You know, like, why does he want peanuts? This is not him. He never wants peanuts because he's allergic to peanuts. Mm. And he goes, I need some peanuts. Do you have any peanuts? And I go, no, you don't need peanuts. Or you got any chips with peanuts in it? And going, what the hell are you saying? And I thought he was joking around. And then we watched him walking down the road and he was ready to stand in the middle of the road to get hit by a car. So he was hypnotized as well. And if it wasn't for suddenly there was a big crack outside the building, and it stopped him, got his attention, and woke him up. And they go like, what the hell am I doing here? And they walked back towards the building.
Wow. Yvonne, you had a question for the group.
I do. Thanks for bringing me back in. And thank you for sharing your story here and your experience. I'm wondering, when you're in there with this doll, are you using any instruments or tools that read the temperature of the room, the vibration around the doll, or same thing goes towards before you're throwing up? Is there a change in temperature, or do you feel something entering your body before that happens?
For me, we did have various amounts of equipment around. We had EMF gauges, we had digital voice recorders, we had REM pods, we had everything. We even had Boo Buddy running on the table, which was not one of my best choice of pieces of equipment, but it was there, it was available, so why not turn it on? And we weren't getting really anything as far as responses on the equipment, which is kind of odd for us. The K2 was picking up, maybe the REM pod was picking up when Troy was in front of it. But other than that, nothing really as far as anything unusual that you would expect a huge spike or a difference in temperature.
Right. And this is kind of a gritty question, but you mentioned a few times different experiences with throwing up, and then when you see people on shows throwing up, that is real. Are you throwing up anything that has to do with the time period? Or I know that kind of sounds gross, but I'm just kind of curious.
Throwing up with the time period? I mean,
anything.
Something that was eaten in the 18th. Right. No, I don't think so. I think it's just kind of a bile. Like, we eat before we go on investigations because we need the energy to actually do the investigation. And then we kind of hang around for like half an hour setting up a gear, which is good. That gives you time to digest your food. So there's no reason why you should be banging up something which is completely liquid when you get attacked by something. I'm still not buying the attack.
Okay.
I want to know that something else was going on. Like I say, I'm more on the scientific end of things, whereas Derrick's more towards the metaphysical side of things. But we work hand in hand. So it's not like I'm saying Derrick is wrong or we're wrong. It's just the case we work hand in hand. We're kind of a tool for each other. He can kind of navigate me to where he feels something going on, or him or Alan Warren, who occasionally works with us also as well. And then we kind of gauge our gear towards where they feel there's something happening.
Sure.
Rather than just wandering a ship and assuming that maybe there's some activity going on here.
Right. Thank you. Do you ever see them take shapes in orbs or any other interdimensional types of beings?
We've actually been playing around with the SLS camera lately. It's been interesting. It's been featured on Ghost Adventures and Ghost Hunters and various other shows. Pretty much maps your area with a whole bunch of infrared beams. And if there's any changes within that environment, whether they be physical or not physical, it will pick it up. We did pick up some stuff on our promotional thing for the Naramata, which kind of startled me. We were just about leaving the area. Then Troy, who's our tech guy, turned around and used the SLS for the 4 guests that were with us who were just enjoying their night, having fun. And all of a sudden, they hit all 6 of us. And that's not including 4 guests, but also the 2 crew that were sitting there. I was holding the IR, Troy was holding the SLS, and every single person in that crew, before they came up to the next level, got hit.
Wow. Thank you for answering that.
You're welcome.
Guys, I want to get into the technology here, but Derrick, I want to start with you because you're kind of different from what the rest of the Chronicles of the Unknown team does. You're more methodic, you're more spiritual, you're more about connecting with the spirit with your mediumship. When you look at your investigation of time over the last 3-4 decades and you see how technologically advanced that ghost hunting has become, do you like it? Or do you wish it was more old school feel to the paranormal investigation now?
Actually, to be honest with you, I prefer the technology with the medium. I've seen some actually some new shows that are coming on TV, and the people, what they're doing now is they are eliminating the medium completely from the show, and they're sticking to technology completely. And they're basically, and I will say this, like say for example, the old series Most Haunted made a brand new comeback again, so to speak, from England. And they're just using a camera and some recorders, but they stopped bringing in the mediums. And I guess because of, the host of the show, I guess she's had a few problems with all the mediums because she doesn't. You think she wants them to tell her that there's a presence in the room, but yet if these guys say there's nothing there, they're being truthful. But she says no, just pretend. No, we're not going to BS you guys. We tell you what we get. If we don't get it, yeah, that's it. And you don't need to be bullied over that. We want to tell you the truth. This is what we're here for. We are a truthful, historical research team. And some people, some TV shows, they want to get you to have some drama put into it, like to hate each other or to have a falling out. And they make it, like a series that way. We're not into that. We're not into having to say, well, I'm the boss, I'm going to be the boss, I'm going to do this, I'm going to do this, I don't agree. I mean, once in a while, sure, you have your off day, but we're still a team, and that's the thing that people don't realize. And the same thing when you talk about, when you mentioned earlier about regarding throwing up, it's my observance whenever it connects me of throwing up. It's because the spirit's trying to take over you or trying to control you. And whether it went for Glen, me, and people need to realize that we're sensitive to the spirit world just as much as being technological. If I didn't want to use my mediumship or stick to just using KT meter or whatever I have in my hand, and if I get hit, I get hit. But here's the most interesting part was when we investigated the last place 2 nights ago with the new group of people that are with us, even a 12-year-old boy got sick and he had to throw up. And it was his birthday that night. His mom bought him tickets to be part of this, but he did what we did learn about this young boy. He wasn't. I guess I'd say not knowledgeable enough to know about the equipment. This little guy was smart. He studied what was on TV. He studied a lot of these shows. He wanted about everything, anything. Like he was Glen's sidekick.
I could stand there and say, "What is this piece of equipment?" And he'd say like, Mel 8702. Oh, really? What's this? Oh, K2. What does it do? And he was like bang on every time.
So he's
like, this guy's 12.
That's awesome.
But even though the little guy, the guests were not smudged down, so they were already coming in. So we were hoping that nobody got sick, but the guests were fine except the boy got sick, and so we immediately focused on the boy, brought him outside. The guys and got me said, Derrick, can you smudge him? We'll help him, bring him back where he is. And I said, sure, no problem. We smudged him with his mom, got him going, got the rest of the guests all smudged down. They came back in, and I said, how you doing to the boy? And he says, great, let's get back to work. It's him telling a 12-year-old telling me, let's get back to work. Right? That's how dedicated he was. He's a great junior paranormal investigator. The kid wants to learn so much. He even said to me, he says, you guys are my heroes. You're
doing something right.
We're doing something right, but he says, you guys are my heroes. And then, because it's someone that he believed in, it's some people that we believed in, and Glen is his most favorite guy, because he told me, I said, who's your favorite guy on the team? Glen.
Yeah, well.
It
was nice to actually sit and teach this guy how to do some stuff with some equipment, at least.
Awesome. Gentlemen, I'm going to get you guys to hold on for a couple of minutes here as we're going to hop out for a break at the top of the hour. You're listening to Spaced Out Radio. I am your host, Dave Scott. We are joined tonight by Glen Ferguson and Derrick Whiteskycloud from Chronicles of the Unknown, a Canadian, West Coast Canadian, paranormal investigative team. They are building a series that you will soon be able to see on television, which is kind of cool. We're also joined by Yvonne Palermo, the Groovie Bean, tonight, as she will be hosting the first hour of Spaced Out Radio starting tomorrow night. Hey, we're 3 hours now. Absolutely love it. Thank you for listening in, and thank you to Corinne de Winter for getting our guest free purple plates as a giveaway tonight from purpleplates.com. If you want to get yourself a purple plate, head to purpleplates.com. They are worth it. I have one. It works for me, and I know it'll work for you as well. You're listening to Spaced Out Radio. I am your host, Dave Scott. We'll be right back.
Become more intimate and interactive with Spaced Out Radio. Join our Space Travelers Club with your new membership. For $5 a month, we'll provide you with special access to the website, monthly prize draws from books to psychic readings, along with monthly newsletter, private interviews, and more. Sign up today to be part of Spaced Out Radio's experience.
Every month on Spaced Out Radio, we look into the deep and dark reports of cryptids roaming around the world with me, Rob Morphy, from Cryptopia.us. I would love it if you would join me and host Dave Scott as we delve into the most arcane stories and reports regarding creatures of the unknown. My job is to hunt down the details and bring the evidence forward to you. These aren't your regular Bigfoot stories I'm talking about either. You can find out more about crypto history at spacedoutradio.com.
With an ever-expanding listenership base, Spaced Out Radio is the perfect place for you to advertise your product. Our listeners support those who sponsor this show. So whether you're an author or a company, Spaced Out Radio is the perfect place for you. Our pricing is more than competitive, and your advertisements will be seen and heard every show. Head to spacedoutradio.com and advertise with us today. Contact us at info@spacedoutradio.com today.
You hear footsteps in the empty room above you. A rocking chair begins rocking by itself. Don't be afraid of the things that go bump in the night. Reach for Spirit Storybox, the iPhone app the Huffington Post UK called the only ghost hunting app you will ever need. Spirit Storybox. The spirits are telling their stories. Are you listening?
Strange creatures lurking in the night, the sounds of wood knocking in the forest, odd happenings right out of a fictional world. These are the reports I love. Hi there, this is author Ronald Murphy, and I would love it if you join me and Spaced Out Radio host Dave Scott the second Wednesday of every month on our journey into the unknown land of cryptozoology at spacedoutradio.com. From Mothman to Frogman and everything in between. Hey, they don't call me the crypto guru for nothing.
Is the 24-hour world starting to wear you down? Let me from Rivulet Reiki and Readings lend you a hand. Hi, this is Jolene, and if you're in need of Reiki or a realm reading, come to my website, rivuletrr.wix.com/rivuletrr&r, and let us help you out. At Rivulet, I specialize in healing your body, mind, and soul, no matter where you are. And be sure to check out the Rivulet R&R Facebook page for your best deals. Remember, it's time for you to make some time for you.
Find yourself constantly looking up in the sky, looking for answers? Have you had extraterrestrial contact? Are you an abductee? Looking for answers to your experiences? Hi there, I'm R. Keith Andrews, Spaced Out Radio's resident ET expert. Join me live the first Friday of every month where I take questions from the Spaced Out Radio chat room and help you understand those from the far-off world. It's 2 hours of knowledge every experiencer should listen to. Hope to see you there.
Did you know that Spaced Out Radio runs 7 days a week? Hi, it's James Tyson from Spaced Out Weekend. Every Saturday and Sunday night, starting at 9 p.m. Pacific, midnight Eastern, you can join me and my guests for some great chatter about what's going on out in the universe, or even in that dark part of the basement you really don't want to go back into. Well, let's find the answers to your experiences together. So come on up to Uncle Jimbo's cabin on the weekend. For more information, look us up at spacedoutradio.com.
Would you like to connect with us on Spaced Out Radio? Head to spacedoutradio.com to check out the latest shows, guests, and sponsors. And don't forget to sign up for the Space Travelers Club. You'll find all you need at spacedoutradio.com. Welcome back to the second hour of Spaced Out Radio tonight, which is technically the third hour, as we have gone to 3 hours as of tonight on Spaced Out Radio. Thank you so much for your lovely responses into the third hour, as Yvonne Palermo, the Groovie Bean, will be hosting the first hour with Groovie Bean's nightly Cup of Joe, starting at 9 p.m. Pacific, midnight Eastern Time. 3 hours of Spaced Out Radio now for you every night of the week, 7 days a week. Yes, we are doing it, including Spaced Out Weekend. Tomorrow night on the show, author Brad and Sherry Steiger will join us tomorrow night. We're going to talk visitors, both on the paranormal and extraterrestrial side. It's going to be a great night indeed. Hey, if you want to follow us on social media, you can do so at Spaced Out Radio. Give our Facebook page a like, Spaced Out Radio Show. You can also follow us on Instagram, Dave Scott, SOR. As well, all of our archives are on YouTube. Subscribe to our channel, Spaced Out Radio Show, and our website is spacedoutradio.com. Tonight we are talking paranormal with Chronicles of the Unknown. Glen, Ferguson, and Derrick Whiteskycloud are with us. So is the Groovie Bean, Yvonne Palermo, as we are showing her what we do around here. And Chronicles of the Unknown makes a monthly paranormal visit here on the third Monday of every month. Glen and Derrick, welcome back. Same to you, Yvonne.
Thank you.
Hey, thank you.
Now, we were talking technology right before the break. Glen, you love the technology. You're always trying to indoctrinate new equipment into the paranormal field. Is there too much equipment being made right now that teams just can't keep up with it?
It's getting kind of varied right now. There's a lot of stuff that hits and a lot of stuff that misses. And I still kind of rely on my psychics. Even though it's kind of like poo-pooed now. Like, you guys have been working with psychics, and it's kind of a metaphysical thing. You know what? It's an extra tool for me. I hate to say that Derrick's a tool, but you know what? He is a tool for us. He can point us in the right direction. He's
called me a tool a few times.
Yeah, well, whatever.
When you look at it, Glen, in regards to the technology, and you say that it's getting a little bit out of hand, which I think most people who've been on investigations can agree with, but there's some good parts to it. Let's talk about the good of the technology right now. What has really advanced in your eyes over the last 20 plus years that you've been investigating that just blows your mind on what it could pick up? Is it a thermal camera? Is it the laser grids people are using now? What is it?
For me, it would be the SLS camera, which is a structured light source camera. It basically bursts the entire area with infrared and laser grids. So any infiltration within that grid will be picked up. Even audio that we can't hear. It will give you a graph on how we proceed with our investigation as far as audio. But there'll be blips in between, which we need to recheck on our audio recording devices. It's been an awesome tool for us. First time we used it was on the SS Sycamus. And it was just before we were about to leave a location. We were done. There was nothing going on with the K2, nothing going on with the mail, not much as far as digital bus recordings. So we kind of said, okay, let's go. And when we turned around, we had these two stick figures hanging around with one of the girls that was on our team. And it went from bad to worse, basically.
So when you look at the technology, if you, say, are talking to a group that is wanting to follow in your footsteps, and let's face it, a lot of people who investigate don't have a big budget. What is something that they could do without, and what is something that you would recommend that when you go on an investigation, you have to save up for this?
There's not really a lot to really worry about. You need a decent pen, a good notepad, a good flashlight, something that's going to work for recording devices. You can get an easy EVP recorder from any Office Depot location for like $60, and it will work. It'll give you 72 hours of HD kind of audio, which you can work around with. You can use various programs like Adobe Audition and WavePad and a few little things that you can play with. I suggest trying to go out there and actually trying to communicate, but be safe. I stress being safe, because there is a potential to get some nasty shit.
What is some of the things that can happen? What are the ramifications of not protecting yourself?
For me, I've been to various locations where I haven't protected myself. I got complacent, or I got lazy, or whatever. I didn't want to do it because I thought I wanted to experience a little bit more than I did last time. And if I protected myself, then maybe I wouldn't experience that. And I paid the price a few times.
Derrick, how about yourself? When you talk to these new groups that are out there, and they seem to be popping up left, right, and center with the popularity of the paranormal now, what's the advice that you give them?
Well, try not to pretend that you think you know everything you don't. You know, not everybody is a professional field, and in fact, we ourselves, we're still learning. You know, like when anybody says you're professional in your field, and they'll say everybody's experienced, we're not entirely experienced. We're still learning. Everybody's entitled to make mistakes or experience it, because we're called the experiencers. We learn something every day, and that's what makes it good about us. Because Glen is adamant. Glen will always say, anybody writes something down about us, say, we're the most, we got 60 years professional or 60 years experience or plus years. Yes, we may have, but only what we learned ourselves individually.
And I hate the word expert.
Exactly. So the word expert does not make you know everything, because there's going to be something new. There's going to be one of those spirits in there one day is going to challenge you that you don't know, and you're going like, oh, I'm screwed. Okay, now what do I do? So we have to be prepared for the unknown every time we're out in the field for each location.
I have a couple questions from Paranormal Into the Night for you guys. We'll start off with Claudia, and this goes back to the experience you guys had in the museum. Claudia is asking, could you be entering a vortex without knowing? Did you feel any spinning of any kind when you had that experience, Glen?
We did at the back of the museum, which is nowhere near Mandy. So I'm not quite sure whether there's something going on with what was happening with the military doll, and that's where most of the people felt bad. Even you, Dave, you were back there, so you know that the area was pretty kind of heavy in its effect. As opposed to Mandy, you could stand there all day and you didn't really feel anything.
Eric from Paranormal Into the Night has a question. Have either of you ever had your vision change from color to black and white?
Go ahead, Derrick.
Yeah, as soon as I turn on the TV.
Go
ahead. No, I've never had the experience of go from color to black and white, but it depends on Glen. I don't know what he's gone through. I would say no, not me.
Glen, how about you?
No, I've never experienced going from my regular vision to black and white ever.
Okay. William has a question. We've already asked you guys in regards to if any beings have ever followed you home, but and what the ramifications of that were. But William is asking a little bit different. I think this is a great question. He's asking if anything has ever followed you home but affected other family members that you didn't expect.
I wouldn't say unexpected, because my wife is kind of like the kind of vice president of my society. So she's done investigations with me, and she's a little bit more sensitive than I am. I'm a little bit more clairaudient. I can hear them, and I can tell when they're right beside me. But she has been affected by what we've done on certain investigations, but not so much carrying back from an investigation if she hasn't been there. I tend to take some pretty serious precautions when entering my house, like sweeping my feet, doing a blessing before I get in there, maybe even smudge before I enter my home, just to make sure I'm cleansed.
Mm-hmm. Derrick, how about yourself?
Actually, it's a bit of the reverse, because my wife, as soon as I come in the house, she feels it before I come in the house, or when I'm coming in, she'll say, "Oh, you brought something home. Damn it," she says, "now you got to fix it. What are you guys doing wrong? You haven't really finished what you're supposed to do. You're supposed to do this, you're supposed to do that." And she's giving me a heck. And I'm like,
have the heck.
Tell the guys, they did something. They're not finished it. They didn't finish it. They brought something home. She feels it already before they get working.
He's not kidding either.
So we have to really make damn sure, if you're coming home, make sure my wife will remind you, because she'll say you missed something, because because her guides will tell her, and she's not even with us on the team. She's at home here, but she'll adamantly tell me, "Don't screw this one up. Don't mess this one home, because all it does is it'll mess up us the next couple of days." So. Yeah, Glen knows, because he got heck for it.
Shut up.
The group on Facebook, Paranormal Into the Night, that follows us, they're asking both Glen and Derrick to join, because they would love to see some photographs that you guys have taken of spirits in regards to it. So I'll make sure to tag you in there for both of you, because if you could add them, they would love it. They follow us every night. We love that group. And they're real good people in there. Claudia has a question. When you see spirits, Derrick, are they dressed in the Gold Rush clothes? And do they sound like they are from another time?
I would say yes. Let's go. I'm going to go to Barkerville Hotel. When Mike was with me, we were upstairs. We were looking at one of the mannequins not mannequin, actually, there was no mannequin in the room then. Was actually looking at one of the rooms that actually had one of the gold deeds on the bed. When we came back downstairs, we were calling out to see who was around. And then we saw, and I said to Mike, I said, "I get the presence of that guy from upstairs. Now he's pissed." And Mike says, "What do you say?" I said that he's actually calling you bear shit. And I've never used that word in my life. And next thing you know, I'm standing there. I said, "Well, if you ever want to talk through me or speak through me, go right ahead. You can actually enter my body and you can talk to Mike." And I'm standing there. My back is turned to the back, and I was facing Mike. And I actually had my head down. And Mike was just about to walk towards me. And as I lifted my head, he actually watched the ghost come right through from the back of my body out through my face.
And that was the funniest video I've ever seen.
That's part of the video that you'll see in there. It's absolutely phenomenal. I felt
wow. You'd actually see the force go through him.
Yeah, right through me. Yeah. A full apparition, and it scared the living hell out of him. I would say it scared him, but it startled him to the point of being scared, because Mike's never experienced anything quite like that at all in his life. So I don't blame him running to run behind the bar like, "Get away from me," because he swore that I was going to actually attack him.
Wow.
Yvonne, do you actually have a question, Yvonne?
Oh, hey, yeah, sure, thanks. I'm wondering, aliens versus spirits of the dead. Have you encountered both? And if you have, do you treat them the same as far as attachments go?
Spirits for me, I've only experienced the recently passed or whatever, but nothing to do with UFO. But it doesn't mean to say that I'm not open to the idea that there is possibility of those guys up there.
Right.
If people are willing to believe in what I'm willing to believe in, then why shouldn't I believe in the possibility of cryptoids and UFOs?
Absolutely.
We're all pretty much in the same bag. No one believes the shit what we say, including those big fanatics out there. So why shouldn't we kind of help each other out in a certain way?
Mm-hmm.
And Dave knows that, like, last year I had a crypto out there at our conference, and he was a big wig. We're talking Dr. John Binderniegel from the island, who's been studying the cryptic ape for many years. So why wouldn't we want to listen to what he has to say? He's been in that field for so long.
Mm-hmm.
I talked to John Bindernagel a couple of weeks ago on email, and he's actually going to be on the show in September. So I'm so excited for that. John Bindernagel, for people who don't know, he is like the Wayne Gretzky or the Muhammad Ali of Bigfoot investigations. And he's been investigating Bigfoot for almost literally 70 years. He's 84 years old, and he's still trouncing out in the woods and areas that most of us would not even go to try and find evidence of Bigfoot. And I know when I met him at your conference last year, he actually came right up to me and was like, "So I hear you got a Bigfoot story that you got to tell me. I got to hear this." He was excited, like you're about to give a child a candy bar, and his enthusiasm is just incredible. I have a question from Roz in Paranormal Forum, and he is asking, Glen or Derrick, have either of you ever had a spirit or ghost ask you why you were looking for ghosts or spirits, or told them to leave you alone?
Been told to leave alone many times. I'm not quite sure on the dimension thing. I'm still kind of looking at it right now. As far as actually, do they see us as ghosts? Maybe it's a different dimension. You ask who's there, which is kind of strange for them to ask that if they can't see us already. So I'm not quite sure where it goes with that. Derrick? Anybody? Hello?
Derrick?
Yeah.
There you go.
I didn't hear a thing you guys said because I lost total contact with you guys. My Skype was spinning all of a sudden, so I didn't hear the question.
Well, the question was from Roz in Paranormal Forum, and will pertain it to you directly, Derrick. Have you ever had a ghost or spirit ask you why you were looking for them, or told you to leave them alone?
We have that quite often. Sometimes they'll just say, "Go away, get away, don't come in, stay away, get out."
Get out.
Always hear the word "get out."
Get out.
Or they'll even growl at you. I mean, that's cool. Here's one thing we did. I think it was kind of cool. It wasn't just a growling that was just for me. We've had an apparition that was growling at all five of us.
And that was the SS Narromata.
The SS Narromata. And it actually, all five of us heard the growling. And it wasn't just once. We heard it 3 times.
And we have that on audio.
And it's all recorded. And each individual person did carry a digital recorder, so everyone's going to have their own experience.
Oh. Claudia in Paranormal Into the Night is asking, how much success do you guys have with EVPs? And do you get a lot of them, or do you just accidentally pick up the voices on tape?
It varies. Sometimes we get a lot, and it's because they want to communicate with us, but it depends on the location. When we're doing heritage locations, we get a lot. I don't know if it's actually a time trap or maybe it's just a residual EVP that's going on, but we capture it pretty much same time every night, so I'm guessing residual. We do get some interaction as well with some good EVPs.
Myself, even as a reader, because I do give readings to people, and when I use my regular tape recorder, and there's loved ones that are coming through for when they're reading, and I say, well, say for example, a father who actually had son came to see me, and your son says hello, and he's here in the room. He says hello. And that's all I said. And then I told him, I says, when you go home, listen to the tape and see if anything ever happened. So he actually went home and listened to the tape, and he saw me at the gas station, I guess the next day, and he came up to me and he says, thank you, shaking my hand. I listened to the tape, and I heard my son's voice on the tape, and he said, Daddy, I love you. So even on a regular common cassette, and during just a common reading, giving people readings, a cassette tape or a digital recorder will always pick up something. If spirit really wants to come through bad enough, it doesn't always have to be a paranormal investigation. It can also be a reading. And because And here's another example. Last night, we were investigating. In fact, it actually worked, and Glen knows the story. It happened twice to us. Just in two different incidences, maybe more than once, I would say. But Glen was downstairs in the boiler doing the investigation by himself, and I was to keep an eye on him. So I was about 12, 14 feet away from him near the office. And we each of us has a walkie-talkie, so if anything goes wrong, he just presses the button, calls me. And so I sat there for about maybe, say 20 minutes gone by, and then I get this call, Derrick, get over here. Derrick, I need you. So I come over, and I said, okay, what do you need? He goes, what? I said, you called me. No, I didn't. Yeah, you called me the walkie-talkie. No, I didn't. And so I said, well, I heard your voice on the walkie-talkie. They called you. So they're even going to use the walkie-talkie to get you to come over, or just basically to say, get the hell out of here. And they'll use that as well, because it's still part of an electronic voice phenomenon.
Eric in Paranormal Forum is asking, how often are the communications lucid? Sometimes he gets the impression that the message is being translated in retrospect to fit expectations.
It depends on your mindset. You could tell a whole bunch of guys that a location is haunted, even though it's not. Walk them in there, give them the history of the location, and how much does that mindset actually affect what they're perceiving? This is something I've always wondered. Even though we didn't do that with the SS Signals, we didn't need to, because that place is active as hell. But going into a location and trying to explain a history that is not true, maybe getting them all tingled up before they even get in there, why wouldn't they perceive that there's a possibility that there's something in there? This kind of freaks me out. This is one of those questions that I really want to delve into.
There is a situation where actually they would. There's people that used to experiment on psychics and mediums to see if there's actually a presence of spirit in a room, and they would make a fake location, pretend, and they tell people, "Oh, these psychics," and they say, "Well, this place has been haunted." And they'll put all these individual crazy pictures up there, furniture, the whole 9 yards, and then they'll tell the story, and so they can create an imagination to make you think that there's something there. So what both Glen and I and myself, Glen will say, don't tell Derrick anything. They're cold. I don't know. I don't want to know anything about the history of the place. I come in, I'm the guy that just does the walkthrough. I'm going to tell you. You can tell me everything about the place, but it doesn't mean I have to believe everything you tell me. I want to see what I feel and see on that location, not you tell me what you think there. If they say the place is haunted, how haunted is it? And who's going to haunt it for? Because there are people that actually have gone through the place, have worked in the place, and nothing's bothered them. And yet there's people like us walk into the building and we got stuff constantly all through the night. Why? How come the young lady that works there has never had a haunt attack, never bothered whatsoever, and they love her? They think
she's an English.
She's an English girl. She's from England, and yet they've never bothered her. And she's respected the spirits on the other side, and they respect her because she's there for one reason, is to keep the history of the ship going, and they know that. So they're not going to bother that girl.
I do want to say this, and this is probably something as I am on my own spiritual journey trying to figure out what's going on with me, which is hence the reason why I started Spaced Out Radio. When these gentlemen were coming up and I joined them on an investigation, my first ever paranormal investigation, we were at a museum in northern British Columbia. And I was walking with Mike, and there was a lady in one of these old hotels named Agnes McVie. And as Mike and I were walking up to the building, this lady in my head kept on saying to me, "What are you doing here? You're not allowed here. Get the F away." She was very rude. And about 5-6 minutes later, Derrick walks up and says, "She was talking to me the entire way up here." Well, what did she say? "Why are you here? What are you doing here? Get the F off my property." Exactly verbatim what she had told me. So it was very, very interesting as I learned my own abilities to see what was going on in that area.
It was kind of what they actually picked that up. I watched when you were both talking to each other, and you were kind of freaking out, saying, okay, well, he's actually picked up exactly what I picked up on him.
Absolutely. Gentlemen and Yvonne, we're going to go to our final break of the night. When we come back, more questions from you, the audience, because they are piling up. We are talking with Glen Ferguson and Derrick Whiteskycloud from Chronicles of the Unknown. They make their monthly appearance here on Spaced Out Radio, always the third Monday of the month. And we are joined by Yvonne Palermo, the Groovie Bean, who will be hosting hour number 1 on Spaced Out Radio starting tomorrow night. You're listening to Spaced Out Radio. I am your host, Dave Scott. We'll be back right after this.
Looking for a place to get your product to the public? Advertise with us at Spaced Out Radio. At spacedoutradio.com, you can check out our pricing and packages that best suit your budgetary needs. Whether you're a budgeted author or a company looking to expand, our listeners support the products that support spacedoutradio.com. Advertising with us is an effective way to get your message out. Contact us at info@spacedoutradio.com and get your ads out today.
Visit purpleplates.com today. For over 40 years, the Purple Energy Plates have been delivering amazing results for their many customers. Inspired by the great genius Nikola Tesla, the harmony, healing, and energetic effects of the plates have proven over and over to be beneficial and often miraculous to thousands of customers. With their money-back guarantee and the many benefits, how can you afford not to get one? Check their site for daily specials and choose from their many energy products. You won't be sorry. Visit them today at purpleplates.com for mind, body, and spirit. And expect a miracle.
Right here, this is where we divulge the fruit of our research. Here on the Webster Phenomena every Saturday night at 8 p.m. Pacific, 11 p.m. Eastern on Spaced Out Radio. And we give it up to you guys, all the listeners, and the live listeners usually get something special and hang out in the chat room. And we love to have you. So we'll see you every Saturday night at 8 p.m. You know where.
Attention Spaced Out Radio listeners. For only $5 a month, you can join Spaced Out Radio Space Travelers. Your membership at spacedoutradio.com will give you access to private fan area on the website, get you a monthly newsletter, draws for monthly swag, and a whole lot more. Sign up today to become a part of the Spaced Out Radio experience.
You hear footsteps in the empty room above you. A rocking chair begins rocking by itself. Don't be afraid of the things that go bump in the night. Reach for Spirit Storybox, the iPhone app HuffingPost UK called the only ghost hunting app you will ever need. Spirit Storybox. The spirits are telling their stories. Are you listening?
Strange creatures lurking in the night, the sounds of wood knocking in the forest, odd happenings right out of a fictional world. These are the reports I love. Hi there, this is author Ronald Murphy, and I would love it if you join me and Spaced Out Radio host Dave Scott the second Wednesday of every month on our journey into the unknown land of cryptozoology at spacedoutradio.com. From Mothman to Frogman and everything in between. Hey, they don't call me the crypto guru for nothing.
The last Monday of the month on Spaced Out Radio is a night of psychic vision, mediumship, UFO and ET contact, Bigfoot stories, animal communication, and so much more with me, Elizabeth Anglin. I'd love it if you would join host Dave Scott and I on the myriad of topics we delve into. Every month, we share new views that may help you understand your own experiences. So tune on in at spacedoutradio.com and stamp your cosmic passport.
Did you know that Spaced Out Radio runs 7 days a week? Hi, it's James Tyson from Spaced Out Weekend. Every Saturday and Sunday night, starting at 9 p.m. Pacific, midnight Eastern, you can join me and my guests for some great chatter about what's going on out in the universe, or even in that dark part of the basement you really don't want to go back into. Well, let's find the answers to your experiences together. So come on up to Uncle Jimbo's cabin on the weekend. For more information, look us up at spacedoutradio.com.
Missed most of tonight's show? Don't worry, you didn't miss a thing. You can head to our website, spacedoutradio.com, and download our archives for free. And don't forget to get your Space Travelers membership today. Now, back to tonight's show. The way this show is going, we might do a little bit of overtime tonight. Too many questions. We got to get to them all. And if we can push Derrick and Glen into a little bit of OT, we're going to do that. That's the way we do things here on the mighty SOR. Thank you so much if you're in Paranormal Into the Night, Paranormal Forum, or in the Spaced Out Radio chat room. Thank you so much for tuning in. Appreciate all your questions. Your participation is what makes this show go round and round. Tomorrow night on the show, Brad and Sherry Steiger will be joining us. They are authors or co-authors of over 150 books. It's incredible the amount of writing they have done in the paranormal and UFO field. They're going to be joining us tomorrow night on Spaced Out Radio. If you want to follow us on Twitter, you can do so at Spaced Out Radio. Give our Facebook page a like, Spaced Out Radio Show. Dave Scott SOR, you can follow me on Instagram. On YouTube, where all of our archives are, you can follow us at Spaced Out Radio Show. Make sure you hit the little subscribe button. I would appreciate that. And our website is spacedoutradio.com. We bring in Glen and Derrick once again from Chronicles of the Unknown. They make their monthly appearance on this show. Chronicles of the Unknown is our paranormal feature, the third Monday of every month. We really appreciate them joining in. And Yvonne Palermo is also joining us. She is the new host of the first hour of Spaced Out Radio. Yvonne, thank you so much. This is where Yvonne is supposed to speak. But I guess she must be on hold. Glen, Derrick, thank you so much for being with us. Really appreciate that. We're going to start off with some questions from our audience here, and we're going to start at Paranormal Forum, and this is from Roz. Is there a difference between using analog and digital equipment, Glen? Any variances between the equipment?
When I first started investigating, I was definitely into the analog stuff, and the reel-to-reel even. We had chunky video recorders way back in the day. Johnny Zaffis will know all about that because he had a rather big piece in his day. Just kidding. Anyway, yeah. I prefer digital because you can record 72 hours of HD. But at the same time, is there a difference between recording on tape as to recording onto a disc? I'm guessing, yes, it would be better to do a reel-to-reel, but they're not available too much anymore.
Mm-hmm. Derrick, have you seen a change in the technology from analog to digital?
I still like analog, but I order all my cassettes from a specific company in Richmond. I get the cassettes done for me, made as well as the boxes, and it's actually getting harder and harder to get cassettes made.
Yeah.
A lot of the stores now are no longer wanting to carry cassette players. They're saying, "Oh well, they're going out. Nobody wants to use them." Well, if you are not putting the freaking cassette machines in the stores, how is anybody saying they're not going to buy them, or they don't want to buy them, or they're not there because they're not buying them? Because you don't put them there. And yet there's still cassettes, 90-minute cassettes that are in the stores hanging on the rack, and people are still buying them. And we have elderly people that still like cassettes. We do have cassette machines. Not everybody can actually, change her from cassette to digital. But I still like my analog because I still find it's a little bit more sensitive, and I'm still getting used to the idea of digital. But either way, I still think they're still good, no matter what, because I'm still experiencing both varieties of making connection with the spirit world, because we, like I said, walkie-talkies, and we also have another type of machine that we use that we call spirit box, ghost box. And that I've experienced, where you have a full conversation with a person that's passed away in their own in their own voice. So, either way, you're going to still get something.
Corey from the Spaced Out Radio chat room wants to know, when you guys were at the 108 Mile Ranch Heritage Site, what kind of information did you get there? When she went there on a local and paranormal investigation, she actually got a great picture of a cowboy in the horse barn.
Yeah, we've actually seen that photograph. Ken, who was actually working as curator at the time, actually showed us. You guys did notice from shots. We tried to recreate it with kind of a shadow image from an IR to make sure that it wasn't someone standing behind you with an IR when you were taking the shot. That way you would get an image from your own IR shadow. We tried to recreate it a few times, and you guys did an awesome job. I'd like to take a deeper look at that. If you could send it to me, I will give you my email address. You can pass it on to Dave, and I want to break that down, but that looks awesome. You guys did an awesome job.
Corey is actually my new booking coordinator for Spaced Out Radio, and she, next time you guys are up, will come on over and we can have a party. We'll even hop in her Spaced Out Radio hot tub that she has at her place, so it's all good there. Yes.
We do have a bit of a surprise for you in that barn. Glen remembers that we had the light turned on by that very same ghost, we believe.
I'm not going to say it's the same ghost. I'm going to say it's something there that we didn't explain.
But it turned on the light.
That was kind of cool. I remember that.
Yeah. So I would say it's possible he could be the same person, but we'll say we wanted something done, and he actually replied back. And like I said, you got to see the video on it, see what happens.
But that's where the scientific end kind of disagrees.
Yeah.
I'm not going to pick on the way that it was perceived. But we did notice as we entered the barn that the left-hand side was lit, because we were focusing on the right-hand side because of the story. Now, can I pan across at that point and say that that light wasn't on when we walked in? No, I can't do that. So we have to kind of trade light feet when it comes to actually trying to prove or disprove stuff.
Well, I'm going to prove that one because I was with you guys that night. When
I remember, yes, you were.
And yes, I was there that night, and I remember while you guys were filming, and Derrick is 2/3 of the way down the Clydesdale bar trying to get the spirit that was down there to talk, and I looked towards the doorway right where that room was, where the light was turned on. And I actually saw a dude leaning in, looking at us, and when he caught eye contact with me, he all of a sudden disappeared back into that room. Now, little did we know that there was a padlock on that door, and that padlock had to be unlocked in order to turn the light off in that room. So I'm going to confirm that one. I'm going to step up, and I'm going to play my card on that one. The few cards that I actually have with you guys, I'm going to play that.
But these guys actually locked me in the post office for like 45 minutes. They said, we'll be back in 20. You can have a radio, you can have a video camera, you can have a K2 and a digital voice recorder. You're on your own. I'm like, okay. So they locked me in. What they didn't tell me was they actually unlocked the door after they took the shot. And I assumed that they kept it locked. So I was stuck in there for like 40 minutes. I was freaking out after about 25 minutes because there was crap going on in the room.
Yeah.
The K2 was going crazy. And I was getting pushed and shoved. I'm like, okay, I'm done. And I thought I was locked in.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. Nice.
Nice. It's again, it's psychological. We like to make you think that you're, stuck in some places, but it's influencing the thought, the mind. And it's up to us to make that decision whether we're coming out or not.
I have some questions from Paranormal Into the Night. This one comes from Gloria. Have you ever recorded any growls during interviews? Now, you've heard the growls, but have you ever got any of them on recording?
Yes, we have. We have actually recordings of growls from this weekend.
What do they sound like for people who, like myself, who've never heard them?
It's like grating across a metal plate. It's not like a growl like a dog. It's kind of like It's actually hard to explain unless you actually heard it.
I can give you the sound.
There you go. Go for it.
I can impersonate one.
Go for it.
When we heard him, it sounded like this.
Yeah, that would be the one.
And then you get louder and louder. I said, well, do it again. We can't. I don't think you're even growling loud enough. Then you go.
Nowhere near. That's a fail on that one.
He was trying to get louder, and I said, now you're beginning to sound like a dog. And it's like, but you're supposed to be human. Why are you trying to sound like a dog? Well, then that did it. So he did it third time around, and everybody went, oh, crap.
I'm not buying the demonic thing. No, everything's all demonic now.
No, he's not demonic. He was just a guy with mad.
He's being an asshole.
Yeah.
I'm just curious if Yvonne has been able to rejoin us here because she was having some issues with her computer.
Yes, I believe I am here.
There you are, Crazy Ivan. Good to have you back.
Welcome back.
Thank you.
Bill Cardwell in Paranormal Into the Night, careful because he's a Toronto Maple Leafs fan.
Ooh.
You can never really trust them.
Yeah.
He is asking, have you ever had any spirits from the Gold Rush think that you guys were trying to come and steal their gold?
Yes, I was lucky to be pushed off at my house, and I got told that I was to get out because they didn't want me touching. Even we had some fake gold from Pyrite, and we left it on the windowsill. This is left for you, but I'm going to take it before I leave. And she's like, "Screw you!" And we have that EVP, but unfortunately, I haven't actually got it right now. I can show you to you guys, but we have it, and it's pretty intense. It's a Class A as well.
Yeah, we've had a few, and there's also one in the Barkerville hotel that this ghost believed that Mike actually was going to take the gold from him because Mike himself actually is with the law, and because I don't know, Mike showed his badge, and I guess the guy got really irate, thinking he was going to come and take his gold or take his gold.
Claim.
I guess a piece of paper.
Yeah, claim.
And he was really mad. That's why he went after Mike. So it was interesting how that turned out. We'll find out when it comes out for you guys.
They ever throw anything at you?
Yeah, I've had a table flip over right in front of me. I had a chair thrown at me. Flashlight. Being bitten, scratched.
You got bit twice.
Yeah.
Yeah, bit in the leg and bit in the shoulder.
Yeah, whatever.
And that was just trying to grab too many pancakes of Mrs. Spaced Out Radios when you guys woke up in the morning.
That's mine.
Mrs. SOR, she kicks ass.
We're fighting for the pancakes.
Yes. These gentlemen, when they come up north, they actually stay with me, and they have grown very affectionate towards Mrs. Spaced Out Radio's breakfast, which is usually consists of some really good pancakes,
bacon,
and
bacon.
Exactly.
Homemade, yeah.
Yeah, it's homemade from scratch. None of that box stuff. Eric from Paranormal Into the Night, and I do want to say Eric is a veteran as well, Glen, and we thank him for his service in the United States military.
Yeah.
He has a question for you, Glen, because you were a captain as well. He says, were you into the paranormal when you were into the military, and what was their reaction?
I grew up within the paranormal. My mother was a medium, my grandmother was a medium. So I grew up in a spiritualist church. So I kind of had a different belief. I wasn't Catholic, I wasn't Protestant, I was kind of like in the middle. Where
Spiritualist?
No, shut up. But spiritualist church was my thing growing up.
That's minister. That was okay.
They were into healing and a whole bunch of the stuff, which I was into as well. I didn't really get a lot of heat from the military, and I actually found a whole bunch of guys that were definitely interested in actually the paranormal side of it, and actually paranormal investigations. So it's not uncommon for guys who are that kind of mindset to be involved with the paranormal.
Gail from Paranormal Into the Night has a question, and Derrick, maybe you can answer this one. Why do people always hunt for ghosts at night? It seems that since they are dead, time would be irrelevant to them.
It is.
Actually, Mike asked me that question this afternoon. We were driving home from Penticton. He says, "Why do they always come out at night, not the daytime?" And it is actually not because of the daylight. And because it's so peaceful and quiet, it's because that we when we walk in the daylight, we see things with our eyes. But when we walk at night, what are we looking for?
We lose the sense and we get a sense.
Exactly. So our senses are kicking up, and that means we're sensing someone or something around us. And that's how that works. So it gives you a really good answer where people, why do spirits come talking to us more at nighttime than the daytime? Because in the daytime, we have too many objects around us we're so used to seeing, and we don't pay attention to that. At nighttime, we're focusing on one thing.
And it doesn't really matter what time of the day it is. You'll get activity all the day. It depends on how you can pick it up.
Yeah, if you're looking for something specific, you're going to get it. If you're not going to look for something specific, you'll get it. Either way, they'll make contact.
Glen, Lynn in Paranormal Forum wants to know, what was it like having grown up with a mother and a grandmother who were both mediums?
It was normal. I mean, we grew up in the Chapel of Rest across from our local church in Ashington, Northumberland, on the northeast coast of England. There was nothing different for me. It was not one of those things where you think, can I change something? Can I do something different? It was just the religion I grew up in was actually spiritualist, if that helps.
And Eric would like to know, from Paranormal Forum, how does solar radiation affect the spirits?
Derrick, that's your bag.
Solar radiation. It's what we carry as far as, I don't know. It's hard to explain that one, solar radiation. I have to pull that one. I don't know. I'm going to say I'm not sure what he's talking about.
And this is where we kind of bang heads within the metaphysical and the experimental.
Mm-hmm.
It's a challenge.
You're looking at that. You're looking at quantum physics, and I'm not really into quantum physics.
He's more the spiritual guy type thing. Like I say, he's also an extra tool for us. We use everything scientific.
I'm just the tool.
And you are a tool. But don't tell anyone. Oh shit, we're on radio. Oops.
Oops.
Yeah, but you know what I mean. Derrick for us is one of those, even Alron, and they have one of those guys on board with us, or even another medium or someone who has some sort of ability to actually sense something. It's like having a K2 meter that's walking around. Basically.
Yeah.
And if
go ahead, sorry.
And if they can hit an area where we can focus on, good. We still do the entire location. We don't care what they pick up, but we do care and focus on what they do pick up.
I think the most fun, I will say this part here, and I think it's the coolest part is having to be a meet, because now that we have our SLS, Troy and Glen are able to pick up more heat sensors off of me because the ghosts are attracted to me because I'm calling them over to me. And so when we sit and do a session, like say last night, Troy doesn't have to say nothing. He just points. If I could see his hands moving, he'll say it's right there, but he doesn't even have to say that because I'm already feeling it in that location. So he'll see the red or the blue or the green, and same with Glen. Glen will be in the background watching, but he's not going to say anything. Same with Mike. Mike's going to be the one asking questions if it's absolutely necessary. So there's always something there. It's always good to have that second confirmation from using an SLS or even a K2 meter or pretty well anything. If you really want to get some attention, you're going to end up putting some sort of a tool down on a table or in front of you or around you. We even did a poker table. We even went to in the casino area, the far end of the stern, where we were in the casino in the area where they're playing poker, and they had the poker cards under the glass. But what that did for us was use as a tool to draw the attention of the gamblers, and we got a lot of response in that as well.
But what people don't know is that place was actually used in the 70s as a kind of a disco area or a casino. before they actually turned into a museum, and that's kind of lost somewhere where the actual activity, or maybe something residual from that time period, maybe trapped.
Sex, drugs, rock and roll.
Yeah, there you go.
Disco days and boogie nights.
That's right. A little John Travolta.
Yeah.
Still there, Dave?
We lost Dave.
No, he's here. I thought Yvonne would want to sneak in something
I'm hearing Dave going,
I'll sneak something in. I didn't.
Boogie.
I have a question then. Heck yeah.
Go ahead.
Do you think, does the Schumann resonance, when you have spikes in the Earth's frequency, do you see more activity?
Say again? You lost me there.
Oh, the Schumann resonances, they're spectrum peaks of the global electromagnetic resonances of the Earth. So the resonance of the Earth has been increasing and has spikes. I was just curious if during a spike of the resonance, if there's a increased amount of activity.
Yeah, you can. You could.
Go
it
ahead.
Depends.
Derrick. That's way beyond me. You lost me at resonance. I'm like,
okay, there's
what she's talking about.
When the Earth, when the tectonic plates, when they start to activate even stronger, you can pick up other dimensional or other frequent time periods at times too. They'll come forward and so it depends. I've been to a place one time where I thought I was actually in the 16th century.
Wow.
And then I went back to the same place, say a week later, and there was nothing connected to the 16th century. It just shift. It's almost like I want to say a time machine. There's a place there and it's there, and they're not there.
Exactly. That's what I was
safe
wondering.
to say that I've never time shifted ever.
Okay.
That's me.
That makes sense though, with the peaks in it, that you would see different. Maybe even going through the vortex or portal, and then you're apt to see other things you wouldn't normally on a hunt.
And yet, Glen, for example, him being from England, there's more activity in England regarding paranormal activity, way more than Canada itself, because it has more history from a way back.
Per capita.
You know what I mean? You got way more activity. So pretty well, I was talking to the young lady at the Penticton SS Sycamus, and she's telling me that they were doing some diggings at this location to put in a building, and when they got digging down way below, they found a whole pile of skeletons.
That's not really unrare.
So that's not unreal, because you're looking at a time period on top of another time period on top of another time period. We're just bearing over the relatives that were there once before, because your island is so small. You're making adjustments to where to put the rest of the relatives. So you're going to have a lot more. You're going to have more activity.
Mm-hmm.
Some may be unsettled and some are not.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Lisa in the Space Out Radio chat room is asking, have any of these spirits ever given you, Derrick, detailed afterlife information?
That's a tough one.
Detailed afterlife information
No.
I don't know. I don't think so.
No.
No, not much. Not really detailed. It's more like they're there, not in a full conversation. Here, I was doing this. My job was that. And most of the time, they would just make you feel or look as if they were, say, for example, when I was on the ship, for example, the guys didn't tell me anything about the people. But when I was actually on the second floor, about to go, I was at the bow, and I looked around. I kept saying, "I'm Captain John. I'm Captain John. This is my ship. I'm not giving up the ship." And I just said that. And then later on, I told the guys about it. And then Mike looked up the information. He says, "Yes, there's a Captain John here." And I kept on saying 1914, 1918. I'm not sure, but I feel like I'm the first. And then one of the girls that was with me, we went around looking for. She said, "There's a room upstairs that shows all the captains." So we went there, looked for it, and saw the pictures. And he was the very first guy in the room on the third floor. that was the captain. He was the very first, and his name is that Captain John. So this is a residual time. He just basically saying, I'm there. That's it. But he didn't say, this is my job, this is what I did this, da 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 da. He just says, I'm the captain.
Oh, we did have some pranksters on that ship.
Yeah.
They were funny. Scared the crap out of me. That was the first time I've almost tempted to go back home and change my underwear. Ever.
That's the room.
No, it was scary.
Lisa has a follow-up question for you from Space Out Radio's chat room. Have any of your team members ever been possessed by the entities they track? Why talk to these beings without extracting intel?
This is a situation where it's on the spot. Not necessarily where you can actually track. Like, I'm a big historian. I spend a lot of time sitting in archives, learning all this crap. And you can't be 100% accurate on your findings when it comes to archives. Derrick's pretty good. He's been pretty much spot on, even with locations he has no concept of whatsoever.
I just listen to them telling me what I'm supposed to do and how I see it or how I feel it. But that's pretty well it. I have to believe what I'm told. And I don't like manipulating something that, like, for example, some people have a tendency, and they did this and they did that and they did this and they did that, and you find it later. No, they didn't. They want to make the story bigger than what it is. I always believe that if you listen to what they say to you, it's enough. You know, if that's all you have to say, then say it. But don't go any more than you have to, because people still know. They still want to believe the fact that that this person existed. That's all I need to know. They would say, "Oh yeah, that was my job. That's what I did." I'm going to give you an example. We'll talk about downstairs. Now, there's a photograph on the story of the SS Sycamoose, and shows you four. On the top left corner picture, it shows four of the cooks. And they're wearing white. Now, Troy, at the very first investigation a few months back, when he was at the SS Sycamoose, he never told me that he saw a pair of pants, white pants, running past the doorway.
He told me.
Yeah, he didn't tell me, but he told you.
Yeah.
And until the day he told me, the day that I was there, he said he saw a pair of white pants running across the back. Now, then we asked the lady who was running it, the boss, and she said, "Oh, let me have a look." And so she opened up one of the history books, the photographs, and she said, "Do you see anything in there in this picture?" And I said, "Yeah, that's the pair. Those guys are wearing white pants. And now these are just the cooks." First of all, I thought it was actually the seamen, because most time, guys are Navy, they're wearing white pants. But I forgot this is Canada, not United States. So it was actually the cooks that were wearing white. Now, in the picture here, it says our story, you see, 4 cooks. But the picture that we found in the boiler room downstairs is a photograph of 5 cooks. These ones here are all the same height. The one that we saw was taller than the 4. And they're all Chinese.
And that was kind of cool, that you kind of matched up.
Yeah. So we used a K2 meter to make contact with that person that was actually... And we reversed it. We went over it, reversed it to make sure if this is the person that actually was wearing the white pants, and he said yes. But we shared that with everybody, and that was the best thing to prove that he was there. Mind you, I'm not sure if he's the same guy that attacked, or not attacked, but I would say touched Glen, or...
I don't think so.
It's hard to tell. We don't know. But you're still... checking things out and see if he really existed, and if there's actually is existence in each of the locations of the ship.
Gentlemen, we are going to hop out for a break here, about a minute and a half, minute 45, as we are going to just catch our breath. We are going overtime on Spaced Out Radio tonight with Chronicles of the Unknown. Glen Ferguson, Derrick Whiteskycloud joining us tonight. We got the crazy Ivan, Yvonne Palermo, Groovie Bean also with us. You're listening to Spaced Out Radio. I am your host, Dave Scott. We'll be right back.
Do you believe you've been in contact with extraterrestrials? Have you seen the Greys, the Mantids, or the Reptilians? I am Samantha Mullet, and on the second Tuesday of each month, you can listen and learn from my experiences with off-worlders on Spaced Out Radio's The ET Experience. With host Dave Scott, we'll sit down and chat about what's going on with our friends from other worlds. We'll also try to answer your questions, so please tune in on the second Tuesday of the month, only on Spaced Out Radio.
Did you know that Spaced Out Radio runs 7 days a week? Hi, it's James Tyson from Spaced Out Weekend. Every Saturday and Sunday night, starting at 9 p.m. Pacific, midnight Eastern, you can join me and my guests for some great chatter about what's going on out in the universe, or even in that dark part of the basement you really don't want to go back into. Well, let's find the answers to your experiences together. So come on up to Uncle Jimbo's cabin on the weekend. For more information, look us up at spacedoutradio.com.
Attention Spaced Out Radio listeners. For only $5 a month, you can join Spaced Out Radio Space Travelers. Your membership at spacedoutradio.com will give you access to private fan area on the website, get you a monthly newsletter, draws for monthly swag, and a whole lot more. Sign up today to become a part of the Spaced Out Radio experience.
With an ever-expanding listenership base, Spaced Out Radio is the perfect place for you to advertise your product. Our listeners support those who sponsor this show. So whether you're an author or a company, Spaced Out Radio is the perfect place for you. Our pricing is more than competitive, and your advertisements will be seen and heard every show. Head to spacedoutradio.com and advertise with us today. Contact us at info@spacedoutradio.com today.
And welcome back for Overtime tonight on Spaced Out Radio. I am your host, Dave Scott. I'm going to have to create some good overtime sound effects for this. You know, I'm a hockey fan, so I got one of those Budweiser red lights. We're going to have to make some sound on that. Try and create something. I like it when we go overtime. I want to thank Glen Ferguson and Derrick Whiteskycloud for staying late with us, as well as Yvonne Palermo, who will be hosting the first hour, as Spaced Out Radio and Spaced Out Weekend are now 3 hours long. Yes, you can tune in at spacedoutradio.com, on Spreaker, SHR Media, and you can find us all over the internet because, well, that's kind of what we do in our spare time. If you want to follow us on Twitter, you can do so at Spaced Out Radio. Give our Facebook page a like, Spaced Out Radio Show. On Instagram, I can be followed at Dave Scott, SOR. Our archives can be found on YouTube. Spaced Out Radio Show. Just click the subscribe button for that. I think we've made a whole 59 cents. Last week it was 58 cents. I think we're up to 59 cents on that now, so thank you very much. And our website is spacedoutradio.com. Tomorrow night on the show, Brad and Sherry Steiger will be with us. We're going to talk paranormal and extraterrestrial visitors with these very talented writers. We bring in Glen, Derrick, and Crazy Ivan once again to Spaced Out Radio Land. We have a bunch of questions coming in still for you guys. We're going to start off with Eric in Paranormal Forum. Sorry, I had to hit the cough button there for a second. Have you ever investigated paranormal activity where parallel lines seem to intersect?
Yes. For me, I did Stonehenge way back in 1988. I was stationed in the Salisbury Plains as a soldier. So it was only like go down to Andover and then you make a right hand turn on the MI5 and you're pretty much there within 15 minutes. And to go there at night, actually I found more activity at Woodhenge than I did at Stonehenge.
That was Roz's question. I apologize to Roz for that. Eric was asking right before that, could the multiphasic radiation of daylight be a weakening force for spirits, and that's why it's easier to detect them at night?
Derrick?
People like the technology sense of the words, don't they? Just give me all the hard words. You know, you can create theory as much as possible, and science, as far as what they say, as far as I'm concerned, as a medium, being in the dark, I like walking in the dark, and that's what makes it exciting for me. When I was a kid growing up, lived in the farm, so when I walked home from work or walked home from walked home from the bars or walked home in my crazy years, we walked 4 miles from town, and I never had a car or a truck. I just walked home, and 1, 2 o'clock in the morning. So as a regular person, just a regular thing, I'm used to being in the dark, and as a regular thing, all of us are used to being in the dark. And there's no technology to it. There's no science to it. It's just like that's how it is. Spirits have a tendency of wanting to connect with you, and if they want to talk to you, they want to make a noise. They're going to make a noise. If they, and it doesn't have to be established as being science.
Mm-hmm.
It's like,
Claudia in Paranormal Into the Night has a question for either of you. And we'll start with Glen on this one. Have either of you ever felt like you knew a spirit personally that came to you during an investigation?
I've never come across anything that I would assume would be a relative of mine or someone that I knew during an investigation. I'm not quite sure whether I personally blocked that out. And that's something that I have to work on myself, because I'm not comfortable with dealing with the sensitive side of things. That's why I tend to draw myself towards the scientific. What is out there now is really good, but I don't know if it's what would be the word? Personal thing for me. Well, I don't want to show any emotion to that element, but I have done. So I've been there and done that, and I don't want to do it again. It's for now. I won't actually go in there.
Lisa in Spaced Out Radio's chat room is asking, before the break, you were talking about spirits telling you what to do. What do these invisible spirits say for you to do when you're on an investigation?
For me, they prepare me to tell these guys what to expect. But they'll never give you the results unless you have to experience it yourself. But they are there to watch over you, protect you as well, and that's why I have a guide that I work with. White Bear is very strong, very powerful, but not just him alone. I also have other guides, and then Glen and everybody else in their his side of the families. And I know for a while that he's got a lot of his relatives in spirit watching over him. He's including his mom and his dad and all that. But we take great pride in having relatives looking over us, and we take great pride of having guides to watch over us. Because
and that's why we say all my relations.
Yeah, that's what we say, right? Because we are related to everyone that's helping us in our journey, and we appreciate it. And so that's why we never come to any harm. But if, like I said, if we do get sick after, it doesn't mean that we did do something wrong. That's just that we became unprepared and complacent. Yeah, we just weren't thinking at the time. But like I said, but I've noticed that sometimes if I do some certain investigations, my mom is helping me, or for example, I told my wife here just when I got home today, and I said to my wife, I said, I had a rosary given to me from my wife's mom, but she didn't give it to me in person, like physically in person. She sent it to me called an apport, and it was dropped at my feet when I was in the plane. And no one threw it at me because there was no one else on the plane but myself coming home, flying. And a friend of mine who was also another medium, she says that came from my wife's mom. And then if you knew what the story, I don't want to go long into it, but if you know the story of it, you'll understand. So the thing is that I told my wife, I said, I saw her mom standing there, like quietly, but she's standing there watching over us. And I said, she's telling me to keep an eye on these guys. She doesn't want nobody to see, doesn't want to see anyone get hurt. But I had to warn them ahead of time to be prepared for like they'll go through a little bit of shocking or something was going to happen. But I didn't want to get the guy startled to say, we're gonna, they're going to scare us. No, it's just basically saying be prepared for some changes, and that you won't come to harm, but just to basically stand up for yourself. And we did.
I believe that you said that someone is going to shit their pants tonight. I remember that from the beginning when we actually started the investigation. So shut the hell up. You were not nice about it. One of you guys is going to shoot your pants tonight. And you were pretty close with me.
Yeah, but I never expected it from you. I thought it'd be Mike or Troy.
I was expecting Mike. So,
there's a lot of poo on this show tonight. I just say that. There's a lot of poo talk.
You guys be parachute on that one.
I think even Yvonne over there in Washington State is having a little poo right now, as this show continues to fall into the gutter. Claudia in the Paranormal End of the Night is asking, do you guys burn a lot of sage or sweetgrass before entering a location?
Yes, we do. That's all Derrick's bag. He protects us before we go in, protects us if we get something hit up at us, and protects us from everybody else.
I'm a medicine man, so I prepare the medicines together. I bring some very strong, good, powerful medicines so no one becomes possessed. I make sure that's done correctly, and before we go in, and even after they're gone, after we're done, we do another smudge down, make sure that everyone's taken care of, including our guests.
Yeah,
and
when we did on the weekend, we actually brought them back in and took them out and smudged them after and before, especially if there was some sort of contact between the guest and an entity on the ship. So it was like bolt right out, smudged, go back in. Fair enough. Let's see how it goes.
We also do our prayers of protection, make sure everyone's safe going home as well. It's all done in a manner. All good and fun, but we still are. There's some serious business to take care of.
So when you guys do one of these charity events and you get people in there seeing what you're doing, do they take that ritual of cleansing previous to entering a location and after exiting a location seriously, or do they sometimes think that maybe it's just part of the whole rigmarole of being a paranormal investigator? It's part of the show, I should say.
I'm not quite sure. Like at the beginning, they're kind of like skeptical. Like, yeah, okay, part of the ritual, blah blah blah. Maybe it's something that appears kind of part of the show. But once they actually experience something, it's like, oh, maybe we should go out and smudge. And Derrick's like, well, I'm kind of upstairs right now. I'm dealing with a couple of guys who are with my group, but I'll be down right now. And when we had that 12-year-old had that little incident, and people may be saying like, oh, well, you shouldn't be taking a 12-year-old on an investigation. His mother paid $50 for his ticket to be there for his birthday. And he was a big fan of every friggin' paranormal show out there. He knew every piece of equipment I picked up. I'm trying to explain it, and he was right in there. I'm like, damn, this kid knows more than I do about this equipment.
Now, very much so. I mean, Glen, here's a cool thing about Glen and the young boy. We were discussing the idea. Are you sure you really want a 12-year-old to be part of this? Because we always warned at the idea that children should never be involved in paranormal at all. Because we've watched other shows. We do understand there's other paranormal shows that are on TV. There were Psychic Kids. There was Paranormal Investigator Kids that have already been on TV previously before, and yet the public thinks it's interesting for a child to learn. Okay, it's still educational. Yes, sometimes people it could be rather dangerous. Well, if you do it properly, which we are professionals in the field, like I tell people, don't sit at home unless you know how to have your professionals working with you, which is true. So he had a whole group of professionals with him, and he was well taken care of. So he was never, ever come to harm. We would make sure he'd never come to harm. And we kept an eye on him, and Glen for sure, and Mike always kept a close eye on him. So, and then they'll say, Derrick, we need to take care of this. Sure, let's take care of this little guy. So he was first priority. And it still worked out well. Everybody was happy with that.
We're going to continue this show until the bottom of the hour here as Space Out Radio goes overtime. William in Paranormal End of the Night has a question, and I'm going to probably pose this to you, Derrick. William has something that is just affecting the male members of the family, and when male friends stay over, it starts affecting them. Yep. Have you ever ran into anything like this? It seems like sleep paralysis, but it's not.
It probably sounds like out-of-body experiences, OBEs. Sleep paralysis is actually an OBE. When you're sleeping in a state that your body feels like it's paralyzed, or you think it's some sort of spirit holding you down in your bed, you're actually having an OBE. And your body feels like it's paralyzed because your spirit's leaving your body and you're levitating above. I went through that very first time when I was 8 years old.
Yeah, but how could that affect just the male members of the family and friends who stay over the night? Because obviously it's not affecting the women in the household.
So you're talking about incubus or succubus? That's when we started getting into the demonic discussion, which is a long conversation there.
You can really get into the heavy stuff. It's something that he would have to discuss specific in one subject.
Okay. And we will make sure that we get you guys into that room on Paranormal Into the Night, so that way they can chat with you there as well in regards to it. In regards to the good and the bad of paranormal, we see a lot of it, guys, and I wanted to touch on this earlier, but all the questions just kept on rolling in, and I wanted to get all of our audience questions in there. I'd like to spend a few minutes in regards to the good and the bad.
Okay.
We see a lot of, especially if you're in this field and on social media and involved in different groups, whether it's on Facebook or Twitter or anything like that, we see a lot of these groups. The drama that goes through not only the people but these groups is somewhat head-shaking. You guys seem to have a real tight knit on what you were doing. How do you keep the drama away from entering your group?
We invite them to our investigations. Basically, that's it. We've been friends with various groups for a while, and various people from groups, even though they didn't agree with their group's policies. And all of a sudden, we're working together. We're actually sharing information. We're talking about working on various investigations. We just had 2 guys come up from Vancouver Paranormal Society this weekend and give us a hand out with camera work. Like, thanks, guys. These guys were awesome.
And yet, they were told the negative about us, and they go, "Well, I'm not sure if you should trust this." And I'm not sure.
Old information. We don't even talk about that.
No. What I'm saying is, here's what I want to say: is that there are people out there. They always give them the benefit of the doubt. Here we go. Come to our group, and you see for yourself what we do, right? And it's not just one person or other people. Everyone wants to find out what we're all about, and that's what we're trying to do. We're trying to show people that we are who we are. We're professionals, right?
No, I can understand that, but when you look at everything that is going on in the paranormal field today, comparatively to what you guys do or how you guys react in a situation. I know you personally, so I know, and I've been with you on a couple of investigations, the only 2 I've ever been on, so I have nothing really to grade this on.
Yes.
But you guys handle yourself very, very professionally. And when I read online that groups have certain rules, certain dictations that they have to go through, and certain aspects of what they want to cover, there seems to be a lot of drama in the field. And yes, you guys are sharing information, but I guess in a long-winded question that I'm asking here is, how do you think all of this drama is affecting the paranormal field? Is it affecting it in a positive way because it is still bringing people in and getting people to believe?
If you want my honest opinion, I think it's slowing down the progress because there's so much infighting. It's kind of like everyone has a handle on what they want to do and their ideas on how to investigate. And there's arguing between the way they investigate, and it gets annoying because I may have investigated a location and got a shitload of evidence right there. And all of a sudden another group wants to come in and go, well, we don't really want to talk to you because you're TCPS, blah, 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 blah. But I may have information for them where they could look, or at least have a rough idea where to hit up a hotspot to actually get more evidence. So why wouldn't you want to share that shit?
Derrick, what's your opinion on the drama that is circling around the paranormal field?
It's actually, that drama starts from television. They want to make it competitive, and who's more scarier, who's more and who's more of this, who's more of that. And you'll start seeing on TV now they got this new group of people they call the demon hunters. And it's not even a TV series as being like, farcical. This is actually, these guys are apparently supposed to be expert demonologists, every one of them, and that they've all had a demon attacks. And yet, when I look at these guys, they're half our age. They're half my age. They're half Glen's age. I'm going, really? You guys got all this experience as demon hunters? And I'm thinking, what the hell? But yet, they share the information about what they do. Okay, so these are all writers that tell these guys what they want. We're not here to wanting a writer to tell us what to do. Our job is to investigate locations. We're not here to play the hype and say, well, he's better than she is. And I've had other people tell me, oh, well, this person is a medium. He's not as good as so-and-so than the other medium. A medium is a medium, and everybody has a skill. Glen is a tech, and he's really skilled. His mom has been a medium when she was in the field. His grandmother was a medium when she was in the field. Glen chose not to go and become a medium. I mean, even though he says so right now, I know when he got his freaking spider senses tingling, Glen will say, "Oh, it's not working. It's not going. I make sure it's not working." Yes, Glen, I know it's working when it is, but he knows when. No, but I'm not putting you down, my friend. What it is, he knows how to shut it off. We have
that angle that we want to have that scientific approach.
Exactly.
And because I've been doing this a long time, I was reel to reel way back in the day. So to come this far forward with the technology, it's a difference between can I accept what you do as opposed to what I do.
Yeah. And the thing is, this is what we try to do. We're trying to show the public that there's different angles, and that what we want to do is let the public make their own opinion. That's what this whole thing is for. It has nothing about me telling you what I want you to see. It's me sharing you what I do see. Glen will tell you what he sees. The public makes their opinion. They're going to make that voice, whether they like it or not.
What about then with a lot of the paranormal groups who don't offer solutions to haunting? So let's say, there's a lot of people who can't afford to live in a good neighborhood, and they have to live in a rundown neighborhood that's maybe had some issues in the past, and they have spirit activity in the house that is maybe bothering them or their children. And it doesn't always have to be in a rundown area. I'm just using that as an example. And yet, so out of their own fears and not knowing what's going on, they invite investigative crews in there, and they come in and they say, yes, your place is haunted. Well, for God's sakes, the people already knew that.
Yeah.
Does it disappoint you with all your experience, because I know you guys offer solutions, when you see these groups going in to confirm a haunting, but not offering people in their own houses solutions on how to get rid of the spirits or how to live cooperatively with them?
It's kind of disheartening in the beginning because they kind of feel that it's a definite negative entity right off the bat. Because there's something going on in my house, it's definitely negative. They're moving stuff around, they're touching us and whatever. But that's not necessarily the case. It could be an actual relative of them that's trying to protect them from something a little bit worse than what is coming in. I know Derrick's trying to butt in right now, but you have to wait for a second. But it's just one of those things where do you stop it or do you let it continue depending on what it is in relation to that particular owner of the location?
Derrick, your take on that?
Yeah, well, Glen's right. Basically, you have to... our job is not being rescue mediums as well either. We're not there to rescue the person. We're there to investigate, see what is going on first. And if it's important to find if anybody actually is coming to harm. And if they're saying they are, now we have to assess the place. First of all, we have got to talk to the people, how long it's been happening, all these breakdowns. And then we have to figure for ourselves if when someone said, yeah, your place is haunted, okay, how bad is it haunting? Is it a negative haunting as an attacks haunting, or is it because something is moving, or lights are flickering, or someone's TV's turning on, or the radio's turning on, and is Bob being attacked, and is he being taken out of his bed and thrown across the room, that sort of thing. And then again, if the person's medicated, and if they are taking some sort of medication, are they dealing with depression, or are they because they just want it to be? Now, so it takes people like us to go in there and check it out. We can assess as much as we can, but we won't go in there and say, "Oh well, you're crazy. You don't know what you're talking about." We do what we can do best, and we're not half-hearted. But we can't always definitely have an answer for everything to say. Should we go? Should we not go? Because there are so many incidences now. We have questionnaires for people first before we even go there. And if they're able to answer the questions online and the way it should feel, be for us. And so then you don't have to keep running around and forth all the time.
I got time for one more question, and then we're going to have to call this a night, gentlemen. This comes from Lisa in the Space Out Radio chat room. And she is asking, demons are real, and if they don't acknowledge that they're doing something wrong, they act like demons and bad spirits don't exist, don't they?
Yeah. Yeah, I was actually looking at that in the chat room from Lisa. Interesting how that you actually worded that demons are real, and they don't acknowledge that they're doing something wrong. Demons are classed as fallen angels, so they were pushed away from what they were supposed to be to begin with. I'm not quite sure. I'm not religious in any way, shape, or form. I prefer to give an answer that would say something more nasty. I'm not a demons and angels guy. I'm more kind of a little bit more malevolent or family-related type stuff. If that really makes any sense to you. If it doesn't, then Derrick can hand over.
I don't like to give them the power to make them feel that they're demonically powerful. And I basically question that particular person or persons. I've dealt with demonic possession with kids, young ones, and it's not fun and it's not pretty. It can be rather dangerous sometimes. But the thing is that if you feed on it, you tell them that demons exist, and you're actually making it happen, even making it scarier for yourself or your family. If you really want to, there's people out there that want to be demonologists, fine, good for you. But if it comes to the point that we got to do some cleaning up of the area, it depends on the situation, because some of us are experts at something and others are not. And it's not that easy to just tell the demon to go away or that sort of thing. It depends on what you got to deal with. I've dealt with it myself twice.
Yeah, it takes months and months and months to get it.
Long time to deal with that stuff. Long time.
Gentlemen, I want to say thank you for being on Space Out Radio tonight. Glen and Derrick from Chronicles of the Unknown.
You're welcome.
An absolute pleasure. I'm not sure if Crazy Ivan is still with us or not. I think she... Oh, she is. There she is.
There she is.
I've been soaked into this, the information. I wanted to thank them for their service, because think of all the people they're helping.
Absolutely.
Oh, my gosh.
She was actually too busy listening to actually answer the question. So
it was fantastically informative. So
for sure. Glen, Derrick, thank you so much for being with us tonight. I'm going to let you guys go get some sleep. Crazy Ivan, we will talk to you tomorrow night on Space Out Radio when you open up the show, lady.
Woohoo! Woohoo! My pleasure.
Absolutely. Thank you so much, guys. Appreciate your time.
No problem.
Nope.
I want to thank once again Chronicles of the Unknown for being on Spaced Out Radio tonight. Derrick, Glen, Troy, and I don't know what to call Mike today because he's just being a weirdo today. He was supposed to be on. You know what? We're going to have some fun with at Mike's expense here. It's all good, but those guys are great, and they run an honest investigation. Chronicles of the Unknown. You can find them on Facebook. They're a very, very talented group. They'll be with us next month. That'll be May 16th on Space Out Radio. We're going to crank up the Bumblefoot now. We're going to get out of here. Gotta love the Bumblefoot. Rocking away. Keeping it up. Go to spaceoutradio.com to find the music. It's always good. On Twitter, at Space Out Radio. On Facebook, Space Out Radio Show. On Instagram, Dave Scott, SOR. Our YouTube channel, Space Out Radio Show. Subscribe to that. Our website is spaceoutradio.com. Tomorrow night, Brad and Sherry Steiger are our guests. I'll talk to you in exactly 21 and a half hours from now. Good night.